accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Because every accident has a ripple effect. It affects your time, your health, your ability to make money, everything. That's where the advocates can help. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. Because you're not just a client to us, you're a person, and you deserve the best help you can get. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show, live on Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Holy cow. The day the Los Angeles Lakers shocked the NBA world by trading for Luka Doncic. I actually yelled and woke my wife up. I rolled over in bed, grabbed the phone, and I was like, what? What's wrong? The Lakers got Luka.
Gosh.
A 270-pound Luka Doncic. Did the Dallas Mavericks make a mistake? Was this a good move for the LA Lakers? Did the San Antonio Spurs win the NBA trade weekend? Got to talk about that. More details on the immediate actions following the Mountain West learning that the Pac-12 is going to raid their biggest brands. What did Gloria Nevarez and the Mountain West do in the immediate moments and the immediate aftermath? We'll tell you about that. Matt Rule shocked college football this weekend. You know, some weekends you roll out of the rack and you're like, dude, I have no idea what we're going to talk about tomorrow. That was not the case today. That was not the case this weekend. An unbelievable weekend. As always, brought to you by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, reminding you, please give blood every year. I feel like we say this almost every day about the Advocates. They're always working in your community. Right now, they are making a major push to drive blood donations. You can get to utahblood.org, utahblood.org. Give any time that you can, or you can go to the Advocates office in Murray on Monday, March 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to donate blood. They are doing a blood drive. It's a critical need in our community. Jake passes out every time he gives blood. I do not.
Yes.
Because pimps are going to pimp or
Right.
we're going to bleed, whatever you want to say. I will be there. Let's do it. Let's give blood in a big way. The Advocates, Monday, March 10th, about 5 weeks from now. So you have that much time to get to utahblood.org and make your appointment. Give between now and then. You don't have to wait till March 10th. Make a difference. As always, if you get in an accident, go to theadvocates.com. A shocking weekend. An absolute stunner in the NBA. And I think there was a lot of questions about the whys of this deal. Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Unbelievable. Shocking. Mind-numbing that the LA Lakers wind up with one of the preeminent scorers in the NBA. He's 25 years old. Remarkably talented. Remarkably gifted. As a point guard. An elite three-point shooter. Streaky, but still elite. And he weighs 270 pounds. And that's pretty much all you need to know about why the Dallas Mavericks made this trade. A couple of things you do need to know. He lost about $115 million, Luka Doncic did with this trade. That's what it will cost him in salary because he is no longer eligible for a supermax. He would have had to be with the Dallas Mavericks. They could have given him over $300 million. That is no longer the case. And why did the Dallas Mavericks trade Luka Doncic? And I saw all weekend on social media, I saw all the pundits, the Dallas Mavericks are cheap. Screw Mark Cuban. Well, Mark Cuban doesn't own the Mavericks anymore. The Mendelsohn family does. And he is a minority owner. He has no day-to-day say in the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban had nothing to do with this deal. Luka Doncic traded Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is injured, and I'd remind you, he's 25 years old. The guy has missed nearly 100 games. And what are his injuries? Knee, ankle, and calf. He is currently out with a calf injury. Those are all catastrophic for quick point guards. He's 270 pounds. Luka Doncic's conditioning and weight have always been a point of concern for the Dallas Mavericks. And they just got to a point where he wasn't playing games. He was not available to them. And they did not want to invest in his future. And I say this was exactly the right move. I tweeted a video yesterday from 18 months ago where I said the Dallas Mavericks would be crazy to give Luka Doncic a supermax and that they should trade him. And they did. And I think this was absolutely the right move for the Dallas Mavericks. Everybody also said Anthony Davis coming back in return. He's always injured. Hey, I don't even disagree that Anthony Davis is injured a lot. But what's the difference between Anthony Davis and 25-year-old Luka Doncic? The difference is Anthony Davis has spent $10 million in the last 2 years on his body. Last season, played 76 games. This year, he's already played more than 40 games. When Anthony Davis is healthy, he is an elite, arguably one of the best defenders in the NBA, and he is a scoring machine. We talk about him all the time on Prize Picks. 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. You can just mark that down. The problem with Luka Doncic is you don't know what you're going to get from Luka. He's 25. He's rarely healthy these days, and he wants more than $50 million, almost $60 million a season. Jake, I think the Dallas Mavericks are not only not crazy, I think they did the exact right thing here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the inherent part of trades like this is there's going to be criticism no matter what you say, right? Like if you say, hey, Luka's out of shape for his position. He was a liability on defense, multiple playoff runs in a row. People are still going to find a way to knock that down. And so when I saw this trade, I immediately thought, yeah, this is going to receive a ton of criticism. But at the same time, I can't disagree. I don't know that, anybody can say that Luka Doncic has done enough to secure a $345 million supermax with the Mavs. And when you look at the money versus the player he is right now, yes, he's good enough to lead your team into the playoffs. Yes, he's absolutely good enough to be, the best player on a mid-tier playoff team. But I don't know that any of us can say, hey, this is somebody who can lead you to a championship, because we've seen that he's not able to do that at this point, right? I mean, we all remember the Western Conference Finals run and getting blown out and that whole situation. And I think the biggest problem for Luka is just the way he kind of goes about the game right now. But this is the part where this is like why I think the Lakers are bought into this deal. I think Rob Pelinka and company did this deal for Luka because they feel like, hey, he lost a ton of money by not signing that supermax, and now he's got something to play for. And hopefully that can motivate him to get into the best shape of his career. We hear this all the time, right? Hey, this guy or that guy, got into the best shape of their career and put out a career year, just like Anthony Davis did 2 seasons in a row. So I don't think it's beyond Luka to get in shape. I don't think it's beyond Luka to become a championship caliber player, but there is no doubt about it that you just traded away one of the best two-way players in the league for a guy who's one of the best scorers in the league, but there are a lot of red flags. So somebody in this deal, whether it is Rob Pelinka, whether it is Nico on the other side, someone's going to look like an idiot when this deal at the end of this tenure on this deal.
And I actually don't think they will. I mean, you got Luka Doncic for what, $269 million. I think he signed an extension with the Lakers. The Mavericks did not have to sign him to that money. It cost him $115 million. It is, in my opinion, a really good trade for both sides. Now, the argument obviously was, well, why didn't you open up the marketplace? You could have gotten more. You don't open up the marketplace and have wide-ranging conversations about trading Luka Doncic. That's not smart. Not when you can get arguably the best center in the NBA in Anthony Davis. We can argue about that. Hey, is Nikola Jokic a center or a power forward? Okay, cool. there is no question that Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving together is going to be very interesting. Very close friends, by the way. One of the storylines flying under the radar is the relationship between Kyrie and Anthony Davis. Very close friends. I think Anthony Davis fits great into their culture in Dallas. I actually think they're a better team with Anthony Davis and Kyrie than Kyrie and Luka. I don't even know that you can argue that. I think Dallas wins here. But if you listen to Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I think it wasn't really like a point. I think it was like, how do we make our team better? There's some unique things about his contract that we had to pay attention to. There's other teams that were loading up, that he was going to be able to decide make his own decision at some point of whether he wants to be here or not, whether we want to supermax him or not, or whether he wants to opt out. So I think we had to take all that into consideration and feel like we got out in front of what could have been a tumultuous summer.
And I think one of the things you got to listen to him say there is, would Luka have left? Absolutely not. Chris Haynes, and I actually think Shams reported this as well, that Luka never asked to be traded and gave no indication he would not sign with the Mavericks.
Right. Yeah.
And Luka has said he was totally stunned by it.
Well, and remember the changes to the CBA, right? I mean, the whole point of all the changes that were made to the CBA is to make it more attractive for the player to stay with the team that drafted that player, right? You can give him more money, as we've talked about already. Like, that was the whole point of, when they rewrote the CBA. So, I don't think that Luka was trying to leave. I just think that part of me believes that Luka was really comfortable with the Mavericks. Like, hey, I'm the best player in this organization.
Yep.
What are they going to do? Trade me? Well, yeah, as it turns out, they did.
But listen to what Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Mavericks, said. This pissed off just about every Dallas Maverick fan when he was talking about his conversations with Laker boss Rob Pelinka.
Trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, really intense conversations over the course of, 3 or 4 weeks that started out as a coffee that, was more, hey, would you ever, I don't know, would I? Let me think of, and then it built upon that. And, we kept it between us. We had to keep it tight. J Kidd didn't know about it. But J Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes, and we talk about the culture that we want to create. So I know the type of players that he likes without actually talking to him. Hey, would you like, so I know that. And J Kidd coached them when they won a championship. So I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players that he likes. And so I felt good about it making sense to where we're trying to go.
Yeah, that pissed off a bunch of Maverick fans. I think it is remarkable that this deal got done under the cover of darkness. And if it's true that these talks took 3 weeks,
yeah,
I think it's amazing.
Well,
I think it is. And the other thing, I think one of the guys that is really interesting in this trade, Klay Thompson, because doesn't Klay Thompson become a much better player now? They were trying to notice what happened when Luka got hurt in Dallas. Klay Thompson got a hell of a lot more touches in a lot better positions. And then you listen to Klay reacting to this trade.
I wish Luka the best. I mean, it was a joy to play with him in those 22 games we were together. But we're going to obviously welcome AD with open arms. Obviously one of the best players ever, being top 75. And this is the nature of the business. You have to be professional about all things in front of you, and I look forward to keeping the goal the same, and that's obviously to end it with our year on wins. But it's just a hard part of the NBA.
He does not seem upset at all. No, it's just business.
Seem heartbroken.
Business has been like it is remarkable to me that you have a guy like Luka Doncic, who I think one of the things that really stands out to me is the excitement for Anthony Davis coming to Dallas. The only people upset about this deal are Maverick fans. The locker room wasn't upset about it. Jason Kidd, I assume. I mean, you look at Jason Kidd. Nico Harrison, the general manager, is sitting here with Jason Kidd. Just watch Jason Kidd's emotions in this clip.
Well, let's be clear. I'm the one making the decision, and Jay's supportive of it. So it's me. I don't do anything that's scary. I think everything that we do, we put a lot of work into it. We study it, and we restudy it, and we go back, and I understand the magnitude of it. So the easiest thing for me to do is do nothing, and everyone would praise me for doing nothing. But we really believe in it, and time will tell if I'm right.
Yeah, you're damn right it will.
Jason Kidd doesn't seem distraught over it, or I think it's fascinating to see. And maybe I will be completely wrong. I think the Dallas Mavericks will be significantly better without Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I mean,
when you plug in Anthony Davis to that roster, they're significantly better without Luka.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question, it's going to be easier for the Mavericks to put this team together on the floor than it will be for the Lakers. I think, Luka Doncic is about as one-sided of a player as you can be, right? I mean, obviously a dominant offensive force, but defensively he's a liability. And that's not a stretch. Luka.
He's an awful defender.
Yeah, and it's everything from, the effort to the kind of shape he's in to the want to.
But what is Luka Doncic as a player? To your point, he is slow.
Yeah.
People, and I don't know how many people understand this. They track the explosiveness and the pace that every NBA player plays at. He is, I think, the second slowest player in the NBA. The second slowest player in the NBA. Luka Doncic, a point guard. One of the slowest players in the NBA. He's had zero full effort possessions this season. Let that sink in. The guy is not quick. He weighs 270 pounds, and he is absolutely a liability on defense.
Yeah, the issue is, to me anyway, is you don't need Luka to be, you don't need him to turn himself into like a dominant transition player the way Bron is, for an example, or he doesn't need to get to that point. But what he does need is he needs the ability to play 48 minutes if you need him to. You need the ability to say, hey, bro, we're in the middle of a playoff series. Maybe we picked up an injury here, injury there. We're going to need you to cover that gap if you want us to move forward. And the only way for you to do that is to play more minutes and to be in shape and to be a guy that leads through work ethic. And I think when you talk about the struggles in the locker room, that's part of it. I mean, this is somebody who was looking at, a $345 million supermax, and with all due respect, is not in great shape for an NBA player, and again,
great shape.
You're people are going to say, oh, well, you guys can't talk. You've never played an NBA game. Yeah, but I watch NBA games all the time.
And I've covered the league for 25 years.
It's pretty clear the guys who are in great shape and the guys who are not.
Luka Doncic he's got to learn how to be a professional. He's got to learn that, and my guess is that is LeBron's task here. Because by all reporting, LeBron loved this deal. As close as he and Anthony Davis were, LeBron loves this deal. And I understand why. Because it makes, the reason LeBron loves this deal, it makes them, in my opinion, more diverse. It makes Dalton Connect a better basketball player, and LeBron loves Dalton Connect. It makes Connect a better basketball player. And I think when you look at where Luka fits into that ecosystem, he will not be counted on to win and lose games for them. That's the biggest thing. Luka Doncic is going to have to get in shape. And I think one thing that I will be looking for, will Luka Doncic partner with a guy named David Alexander? Because let's be very clear about where Luka is. He's 25 years old. He should be in his peak physical prime, but he does not invest in his body. You find me the 25-year-old who got physically better as he went through his career in the NBA. That's very hard to do. I can think of one, LeBron James. But why did LeBron James get better as he's gotten older? Because he spends millions of dollars a year on his body. And his body guru is a guy named David Alexander. And that guy is working with Anthony Davis, plays 76 games last year, plays at an MVP caliber. Games go up. Devin Booker in Phoenix. What was Devin Booker's biggest issue? Soft tissue, hamstrings, quads, calves. Goes to work with David Alexander. What happens? All that goes away because you invest in your body, your game goes up.
Yeah.
Luka's got to become a physical specimen. And it can happen. But remember, off the court, he's married now. He's got a new baby now. That cat loves to drink. By all accounts, he is a beer and liquor drinking fool. You're going to have to give that up. And I think that's going to be the biggest question. Now, I also think, isn't embarrassment one of the ultimate motivators?
It is.
You can't tell me he's not humiliated by this deal. They sat up there and said, we're not cheap. We're just not willing to give him that kind of money. And I agree, they're not cheap. Nothing that the new ownership of the Mavericks has done has been cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a premise issue. It's the premise of, hey, we're going to pay a guy tops of the league, but he's a one-sided player. I mean, and this is what we've said for years now. I mean, we've been talking about this since Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz were playing the Mavericks. Like, hey, you've got a guy who's one-sided, who's an offensive, juggernaut, but a defensive guy. He's a liability. And I think that, the other thing you have to consider as far as Luka is concerned is he's been the best player on every team he's played on until right now.
Yep.
Right? Like, and people are going to say, oh, well, Luka's better than Bron. I disagree. I don't think Luka's better than Bron. I think LeBron is still a better player. I think he's better in transition. He's a better defensive player. His mental is much better, in my opinion.
Better defender. For certain.
Yeah. So to me, I look at this and I say, man, this trade is great and everything. And Maxi Kleba is fine. And Markieff Morris has been around the block, and that's cool.
Jake, what's the last team in this trade?
Oh, yeah. The team that makes everybody else's dreams come true. The Utah Jazz.
Is that not shocking to you guys that the Jazz, again, are a footnote in the Lakers trade? Another trade that massively benefits the Lakers. And this time you can't say, well, it's just Jared Vanderbilt, and you facilitated Luka Doncic, who, if he gets his fat ass in shape, and that cat could be he could be the best scorer in the NBA for the next 5 years. You made that happen. Because why was Anthony Davis the guy that got traded in this deal? And if you listen to all the idiots, it's like, oh, him and LeBron hated each other. Salaries. Because you have to make salaries work. Anthony Davis and Luka, pretty close. You throw in some other guys, and then you look at the Jazz getting involved in this deal. Are the Jazz significantly better? But wait, I thought, well, Monty, look at those assets they got. But wait, I thought because you traded multiple first-round picks, you were consolidating your draft capital.
Yeah, I thought you didn't want more picks because there's only so many guys you can have on a roster that I thought you weren't.
Yeah, that's not the case. The Jazz are a footnote in another Laker deal, and a deal that makes the LA Lakers good for a very long time. Because if Luka gets it together, he could be the next face of the Los Angeles Lakers for a decade.
Which is, I think, a big factor in this deal. I mean, if you're the Lakers,
sure.
you're absolutely, trying to figure out, hey, what does post LeBron look like after LeBron retires here in the next couple of seasons? Like, what does that look like? Who are we going to be?
And then there's this deal right here. This deal is a bit of a shocker. And I say this about the San Antonio Spurs. On paper, this is a great deal. But I would have some concerns about De'Aaron Fox as a winner because you had a lot of talent around that cat in Sacramento. Now, it's Sacramento. The beam curse, as people are calling it. Call it what you want. Sacramento's not a franchise that wins championships. Totally get that. On paper, you pair De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, that seems like a perfect fit. The pick and roll, the double teams that have to go to De'Aaron because he's so fast. Isn't he not the polar opposite of Luka Doncic? The attention that De'Aaron Fox draws very clearly creates opportunities for Victor Wembanyama to shoot the three, which by all accounts, his biggest complaint in the Spurs offense is it doesn't give him opportunities to isolate and shoot threes, which he wants to do more of. All of those concerns are answered now. Victor wants to shoot threes. Well, there's no better drive and kick guy. There's no better pick and pop guy than De'Aaron Fox. And I think that this potentially could be more impactful than the Luka Doncic to the Laker trade.
And I also think that, people want to drag De'Aaron through the mud over not winning in Sacramento. And I just want to say, like, did anybody really think De'Aaron Fox was a number 1 caliber guy? Like, nobody ever said, hey, this guy should be a number 1 would be a number 1 on a championship caliber team. De'Aaron Fox has been, doing everything that he can do to win basketball games. And the reality is, I think he's one of the best number 2s in the league. He's not a number 1. And now you've got him on a team where Chris Paul is going to run point. He's going to be the 2, and Victor's going to be the 4 or the 5, however he wants to be categorized.
Let's not get this twisted. De'Aaron Fox is not a franchise player. He's a great number 2. De'Aaron Fox is your point guard. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You look at the build of this trade, De'Aaron Fox is your point guard. I don't think if him and Victor and anymore, let's also say it's 5 guys on the floor. Who cares who's the point guard, who's the 2, whatever. The mix of guys they now have makes a huge difference. They gave up nothing to get De'Aaron Fox. I mean, they quite legitimately, what did they give up to get De'Aaron Fox? I mean, they gave up nothing in San Antonio. Trey Jones and Zach Collins. And the bull. I can't have nice things. Jake and I were walking into the studio this morning, and I said, Jake, can you just kick me in the balls, please?
Again and again.
Because let me get this right. The Chicago Bulls have traded DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Alex Caruso for your mom's dirty underwear. For a guy that likes underage women. That's what you got out of all 3. Let me get this right. You turned those 3 guys, 3 all-star caliber players, DeMar, Zach, and the weed head. You turn that into Josh Giddey?
Well, Monty, first team all under 15. I mean, come on.
If you did, why didn't you get De'Aaron? Maybe the Bulls are terrible. The San Antonio Spurs should be significantly better now. And I think that for everything that Victor Wembanyama has struggled with this year, and I think there's no doubt that we're starting to see the league is adjusting to him a little bit. I think you're starting to see guys be far more physical with him. I think you're starting to see him as a frustrated guy who's having to learn that year 2, he needs to be significantly better than he was in year 1. De'Aaron Fox speeds that curve. Yeah. I am really curious to see how that team comes together. And can Victor Wembanyama become the player that the Spurs need him to be when they're ready to compete for a championship? Because this roster, let's also be fair, this is not a championship caliber roster.
Yeah, I think that what the Spurs need to figure out is how much can VW cover for them. So just what do they have to put together with him to get to the NBA Finals? Because that's the first step. You just got to get there. Number 1, you got to be able to win playoff series. Win those 7-game series, and again. I think to the Luka trade, this is also, I think, a conversation, whether it's the Luka trade or this De'Aaron Fox trade. Like, does your roster pan out in a 7-game series where you're just playing one team over and over again, and you have to figure out how to win the matchup? Because ultimately, for the Lakers, you're still going to have to figure out how to make Luka Doncic in the middle of the season be more committed to defense. And by the way, how you're going to move the ball through this offense, because you're not going to have him bring it up.
No.
And then, you look at San Antonio and it's like, okay, we're still a young team, but now we've got some nice pieces here. Now we've got, in my opinion, like, I know you're adamant that he's going to bring the ball up to De'Aaron Fox, but in my opinion, I would have Chris Paul still initiating the offense, bring the ball up, and then get creative with how you manipulate the defense. Because, the next time I see, hey, De'Aaron Fox come from the corner to get the ball only to throw a lob to VW won't be the last time. You can't tell me they're not going to have a million different sets to do that.
I think that De'Aaron Fox is not good off the ball. That's what I think. And I think when you look at his domination in the pick and roll, he is dominant because the ball's in his hands. And he might be the best pick and roll guard in the NBA. And now you add Victor Wembanyama to that equation. That doesn't work if the ball's not in his hands. I don't care who brings the ball up. It is meaningless. The initiation of the offense has to go through De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama in the pick and roll. You would not trade for him to do anything else, right? And the fact that you gave up none of your future first-round picks and you kept Devin Vassell is, I don't know how you pulled that off, but that's the stuff of legend.
Yeah, I think it's a great deal. I think they did a great job. I just am simply saying that you're gonna have to figure out like the best way, because what we've learned over the past several seasons in these bigger trades is it, like the Klay Thompson trade to Dallas. Everyone's like, oh, you're just gonna plug him in and it's gonna work perfectly. Well, that didn't really work out the way they thought it would initially, right? They had to spend some time figuring out how to get Klay more touches and how to make sure that Luka wasn't just doing what Luka usually does. And so that's why I'm saying this conversation about how you're going to use De'Aaron Fox is important when you think about, they're obviously going to pick and roll a ton. Obviously, that's not rocket science, but at some point teams are going to start to play that a certain way and force the ball into someone else's hands. And at that point, then I'm like, all right, well, where do you go from there offensively? Because you can have De'Aaron bring the ball up and just get right into a pick and roll. You could have Chris Paul bring it up and pass it to him, and then they get into the pick and roll. But at some point, there's got to be another added layer. And that's where I say, when you look at these trades on paper, you have to account for the process of, we have to figure out how to play together. Because everything looks amazing on paper. It's the Knicks, right? Oh my God, they've got all this talent. They look incredible. Everything's amazing. But it took them a minute to figure it out. They were a 500 club for a while.
Right. But if you look at usage rates, which among point guards is significant, when De'Aaron Fox is in the 30s, he's an elite player. When he's in the 20s, he is a very up and down player. I think San Antonio's best bet here is to find defenders who are elite to surround Victor and De'Aaron Fox. Yeah. I think in Dallas, if I had to grade these three, I think Dallas probably wins the trade weekend because they have flexibility now and they actually can run offensive sets. Where with Luka on the floor, Luka didn't care what the play call was. He was going to shoot, and when he missed, he was going to bitch at the official, right? That was their offense.
Yeah.
Dallas now becomes an actual functioning offense. San Antonio, I'd put San Antonio in second position there because they're not going to win this year. I think they'll be better this year. They're not going to contend for a championship. You don't go from a 21-win team to a 50-win team in the playoffs, right? And then the Lakers, I think the Lakers are the great unknown here. How many games is Luka going to be available? If he does, in fact, come back around the All-Star break, which is in 2 weeks, okay, we're having a different discussion. But with a calf injury, and he's already been battling achy knees now, I think there's some questions about how effective, or speaking of usage rates, how much they're going to get from him this year.
Yeah.
So I would put the Lakers in third here. And I think that Dallas got much, much better. San Antonio is going to be better in the next 2 to 5 years. I think they should be very, very good if all things work out. And if De'Aaron mentally is the guy we think he can be.
Yeah.
And then I think we have to wait and see what Luka turns into in LA.
I'm terrified that Luka won't conform. That because there's, over LeBron's career, it's always been, hey, LeBron and then everybody below that. And everyone's got a role, right? That's why LeBron James and his teams have had a ton of success. Everybody has a role and they play that role and they're not breaking from that mold. So everyone knows where they should be, what they should be doing. And Luka's not that guy. Luka's always been a black hole, if you will. Once he gets the ball in your offensive set, nobody else is getting the ball. And I'm curious when, we've seen that. He's not some passing savant.
But again, I think if you look at Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis was the focal point of the Lakers offense. He was the screen guy. He was, I mean, it is Anthony Davis and LeBron. LeBron's on the ball a lot. That action at the top of the key offset that JJ Redick loves, like LeBron, if you go look at the numbers, LeBron has not been the number one option for the Lakers this year. That was Anthony Davis. I'm curious who's the number one option for the Lakers when Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic are both not available to them. And I think that's why we've seen Dalton Knecht take a bigger role. I think Austin Reeves has been nothing short of fantastic. Max Christie, I know Maverick fans are pissed about that. That dude's grown as a player.
Yeah.
There is no question that JJ Redick's win in LA so far has been the development of the young guys and allowing LeBron to do his thing and allowing Dalton Knecht, Austin Reeves, allowing Max Christie to kind of fit into that group has been their win. But you got to win now with LeBron and Luka.
Yeah.
You got to win now. And I just don't know, is Luka going to conform? If it goes bad in LA, who's going to be the scapegoat?
JJ.
No, it's going to be Luka. Luka will be the guy, in my opinion, because they're not where I don't even know what their number is right now. They're not a bad basketball team.
No, I think they're 5th or 6th.
They've been, the Lakers are 5th at 28-19.
Yeah.
That's not been a bad basketball team.
And again, over the weekend, right? I mean, before this trade comes out, we were texting about it. Like that Lakers-Knicks game was incredible. I mean, just great defense. Like you were running the sets. Like if you like, and again, here, and I also want to talk about this today. Have we not turned on the NBA switch? Like I, for the first time in months, flipped on the TV and I was like, yep, been waiting for this game all day long. Ready to watch this game tonight. LeBron at MSG, in the purple unis.
33 points with only 4 free throw attempts.
Yeah, like you were running really efficient offense. Like it to your point, things had been humming with the Lakers. Now, I'm not saying that their roster was championship good. They clearly needed to do something. Totally get it. But my biggest concern is that, one, again, to your point, Luka's availability. When does he come back? But secondly, look at the balance in that box score for the Lakers, right? Look at the sharing of minutes, like the distribution. Like
look
they
what
were
they're
playing
getting out of
ball.
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah,
By the
right.
way, who's Dorian Finney-Smith's best friend? Max Christie? No, it's Luka Doncic. You guys know that, right? Luka Doncic and Dorian Finney-Smith are very, very good friends. And that's why I said there is a chance you're going to plug fat ass in here. Luka in here, and they're going to do very well because their defense against the Knicks, granted, the Knicks were not exactly, when you shoot 35% from 3 and the Lakers shoot 47% from 3, the Knicks weren't exactly balling out.
Yeah, and logo LeBron is in full display.
I'll be very curious to see, because the Lakers still have assets thanks to the Utah Jazz to go and find a big man, because that's their biggest need now. They need a big. Jackson Hayes is not the guy.
No,
he's not the guy. And if you get him to play 20 minutes or less, because I could absolutely see a lineup of Luka, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, who is one of the best three-point shooters in the league right now. I think he's shooting over 50% or over 45% right now. I could see you plugging in a Bando at the 4 until you make a trade for a big man. I think there's a lot to look at here.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a very good weekend for the NBA because it's all anybody talked about. All of this happened the weekend where the NFL was off essentially. Should have been a very slow weekend. And instead, you had 2 massive trades go down. And I think anytime that Victor Wembanyama is going to be in the spotlight for the NBA, because he is, as good as Victor has been, I think they have botched the PR job with Victor. I think he's been way under the radar because the Spurs are terrible. I think they're a 21-win team or something.
Yeah.
So he's been irrelevant. A De'Aaron Fox trade gives them a chance to be exciting, gives them a chance to get out and run the break, gives them a chance to, hey, look at this Victor alley-oop. Hey, look at Victor Euro stepping for the finish. Like, good for the LeBron and Luca dapping up. What's that?
Storylines. That's what this is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that the Lakers still have picks, the Spurs have all of their picks, there's a chance that this is just the beginning for these two clubs. And I don't know. All right. Less of us, more of you. Let's get your thoughts on these deals. Who won the trade weekend? If you had to pick one of these teams that won, who would you pick?
Oh, I think Dallas won. I
would agree with that.
I think the odds, if you said, hey, like, what's the percentage that Luka flames for the Lakers? I think it's probably, 60% success rate, 40% he flames. I think I think the problem is that we're not just talking about, how he fits into an offense or whatever, right? We're talking about his availability. We're talking about the shape he's in. That we're talking about,
the face of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I think
that Luka's doing the LA.
Yeah.
Did you see him get off the private jet? Me rocks a private jet. They fly him into LA. Did you guys see him do the LA hand signal? And Maverick fans lost their minds.
Yeah.
Lost their minds.
Yeah.
The risk reward factor,
massive.
If everything works out perfectly, who won the weekend? Well, the San Antonio Spurs probably won the weekend. Right? I mean, if De'Aaron Fox turns into the best point guard in the NBA, that means if that happens, Victor Wembanyama now is the best player in the NBA. Bar none. If De'Aaron Fox ever becomes the best point guard in the NBA, Victor Wembanyama is the best player in the league. So by that measure, maybe it is the Spurs. But what if Luka Doncic gets serious, stops eating donuts, and mixes in a salad? Okay, I'll stop.
Fat.
If he gets into shape and him and LeBron play together this year and next year, that's a championship caliber duo right there.
Do you even live?
Because we've gone back to, in this league, if you look at the best teams now, duos.
Yeah.
And that's what Dallas got. That's what San Antonio got. That's what the Lakers got. It's going to be tough to discern who wins. You're going to know who loses. If Luka blows out an Achilles and turns into 500-pound Luka and, like, he's doing Ozempic commercials, okay, we know who lost this deal, right? We know.
Yeah.
But I think it's fascinating. I'm thrilled the NBA is back.
Yeah.
I am thrilled. All right. The stadium guy, James.
First comment of the week.
James.
Dude, I don't want to hear about upper decks on Staples. I mean, Crypto Arena.
No buttholes. No crypto.com arenas. Oak State James for $5. Monty is spot on.
Hey, Monty.
Well, that's a change. Mike Gundy sucks and should shave his head. Okay, we're moving in the right direction.
Wow, dude.
Let's go.
Nice.
Monty is spot on. AD is the best center. One of. Seeing AD in blue is going to be awesome. I want my AD Mavs jersey ASAP. I would chill out.
My name is Luca.
James, give it a few months. Give it a few months.
What's an erection?
Don't go over the top. Let him get into the system. Let him work. Let him eat. Let's see him. He is an excellent passer. Anthony Davis is a remarkable passer. You don't need him to shoot threes, which I think we can all agree when Anthony Davis isn't shooting threes.
Elbow jumpers. Please.
Dominant elbow jumper. You're in good shape. If you're a Mavericks fan, you're in really good shape here.
Just imagine.
Oh, boy.
Anthony Davis, the change in reality of, hey, you were in Hollywood with Bron and, like, nightly basis, the center of attention. Now you're in Dallas. Like, that's just.
Big Daddy Magic, who I'm assuming
dear.
has strengthened his forearm to Victor today.
Victor's the way.
Multiple times. Hey, playa. Luka would left Dallas and joined San Antonio and have Victor as a life. See, you go too far with this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh my.
You go too far with this stuff. Like life coach. I'm speaking about myself only, Eric in Durham says. I'm fat, so I know fat.
Fat.
Luka is fat. Speak only to what you know, and I know fat. Oh, I know fat. I know fat. Even though you guys will laugh at me, my butt cheeks are sore today. Like I did 3 really good workouts over the weekend. Rode the Pelly.
The Pelly.
The Pelly. And yesterday I did like a body weight leg workout at the gym. Them glutes are a little tight this morning. Don't you want to know? Damon Bolton, listening from Thailand. Damon,
Nice.
good to see you and hello, Thailand. Stay dry. Eric and Raleigh, Steph Curry got better as he got older. But why did he get better?
Yeah.
One, he doesn't rely on explosiveness. 2, you don't see the ankle issues that he previously had. And he is in elite shape. I would also point out, what's his second sport? Steph, I can't remember.
Oh, that's right. It's golf.
Golf.
That's right. Yeah.
Look at the NBA players who golf. Austin Reeves, dominating. Steph Curry, dominating. I'm telling you, something in it. Big Daddy Magic, this league is now run by Victor. Guess what Victor wants all roads to lead to San Antonio. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Settle down. Luka needs Ozempic. Cold.
Eric's on one today.
Main event, is Luka or LeBron going to be the spot-up shooter? Well, they're both spot-up shooters. I think LeBron has shown you this year he can attack the basket. His elbow game, he's gone down the Mike and Kobe route.
Yeah.
Less lift can still do it. But less lift, he knows that the longevity is in being on the floor. I mean, that much is very clear.
Yeah.
His fadeaway game, his three-point game, his step back game has been unbelievable.
And I also think under JJ this year, them creating matchups, like that was the thing I was impressed with during the Knick game, is they created matchups for him where he could just bully his way into a layup without having to work hard.
How many elbow actions did we see?
All the time. I mean, consistently.
The Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, LeBron James elbow at that,
yes,
where they set up a free throw line, the right side of the free throw line, and they run that action and that motion that brings Connect across, and
yes,
it's impossible to defend it.
So the question is, again, and this is my concern, I don't yet understand the best way for them to use Luka. And again, someone, and it's Bron, I guess, is going to have to tell Luka, like, hey, man, that shoot everything mentality is not going to work here. Like,
they need him to be a wing corner shooter and be fine with it. And they need him to be a guy that brings the ball up faster. I can't imagine Luka, who has 0 explosive plays this year, 0, not 1, 0, where he's not one time played at full speed, which is a stat they keep, not once this year. And I think his explosive rate last year was 2%. That's not how the Lakers offense runs. He's going to have to get faster. He's going to have to play at pace.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he can do that. I think he's a great player in the half court. If you want him to break you down, and he's got a really nice crossover, he's one of the better Eurostep players in the league, but he's not somebody that is going to blow by you anymore. That's just not who he is in any way, shape, or form. Eric is right, but maybe Luka loses weight, he can get a Subway commercial. Listen, we can sit here.
Y'all are ruthless, bro.
In all seriousness, we can sit here and make fat jokes about Tubby, and I'm for it. We can sit here and we can make fat jokes about Luka, If that dude drops 10 pounds, exponentially better player. If that dude just drops 20 pounds, he's an elite player again. He can play at 250 because he's not a small guy. If you've ever stood next to Luka, him at 250 is not out of shape. Him at 220 would be unstoppable. But he's never going to be that guy. He's not. I just don't ever see it. Bailey Dietrich, are we going to talk about Chip Kelly? Yes, at some point. Yes, at some point we will talk about Chip Kelly leaving. Don't even worry about it. Stadium Guy James, if Luka loses the weight, he could get a Subway commercial. Subway, eat fresh. Okay.
Right.
We're just all on that. Oh, yes, Eric. And am I the only one? Clearly not, because Eric is here. The Pistons are not a bad little group of players.
No, they're a good team.
They've got to find 5 guys who do they need a little more diversity across their offense. But that's not a bad team. That is not a bad team. Marvell Strickland, Utah's 2027 pick from LA is now trash, and beating San Antonio, LA, Houston, OKC is going to be tough for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, everybody's saying, oh, man, wow, the Jazz have all these assets. Like, I don't understand what people are excited about, bro. Like, at what point do you start actually trying to win games instead of trying to win games for other teams?
Big Daddy Magic, playa, please. Victor will have Fox in my first 15 seconds of practice. He will learn the ways of Victor. Dude.
Reel it in a little bit, bro.
People, have a conversation. We understand you like Victor. I get it. Come back to earth a little bit. Pistons beat the Bulls. Everybody beats the Bulls. Everybody. Monty, come to Texas. We have better basketball, bro. Your governor thinks his cotton is elite. Fix your governor, and then maybe I would consider it. We have better basketball and better barbecue and tacos. You don't have better barbecue than Utah. And I love that the Kansas City barbecue nut jobs are like, you don't even have barbecue in Utah. You don't.
3/4 of this is inaccurate.
Have you ever had barbecue in Utah? Have you ever been to Smoking Bones in Bountiful? Well, then don't talk to me. Don't talk to me, man. You know, if you've never had it, you can't, come on, man. Marvell, also, San Antonio is going to be even better when Pop comes back. There are some people who would like him not to come back, but we'll see. We'll see. My undergraduate degree is in marketing. If I could get Buc-ee's to sponsor the show, that would be epic. Welcome to the Monty Show, sponsored by Buc-ee's. Dude, knock yourself out.
Sir, it's presented by.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Knock yourself out. Are you actually insinuating that Dallas won this trade, but then saying LA has the face of the franchise in 10 years? I understand listening's a skill. Here's exactly what my belief is. As far as Luka to the Lakers go, if Luka gets in shape, if he loses weight, if he builds his body, which apparently guys go to LA and build their bodies, if he does that, they've got an elite scorer and an elite player. When Luka Doncic is in shape, he's arguably the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Does he obsessively bitch at the officials? Yes. Has JJ Redick been tasked with making him stop doing that? Yes. Notice that is down this year. How many guys do you see just obsessively bitching at the officials this year? Not as many.
Yeah.
Right? It's an emphasis in the NBA. Luka still does it. If Luka is in shape and if Luka is focused, he's the best player in the NBA, arguably. He could be their franchise for the next 10 years. For the Dallas Mavericks, they have instant flexibility. They did not invest in a guy who I think was very comfortable being in Dallas.
See, in this sentiment here at the end of the comment, Luka, a lot of people are saying this, that Luka was a never trade kind of guy.
Yeah, well, nobody's a never trade guy in this league.
I mean, I have trouble with that only because you're talking about a one-sided player. I understand the guy took you to the playoffs and, had the whole thing with the Suns.
And he gave you an autograph, and so you're making him a never player guy. I understand why it's hard for Dallas Maverick fans this morning to be excited about this trade. But remember this on Monday, February 3rd, the Monday after the Luka trade. Anthony Davis is in elite physical shape. Anthony Davis is one of the best defensive players in the entire NBA.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is the guy you now have. Anthony Davis fits perfectly with Kyrie and Klay. And I mean perfectly. And you didn't have to give up one of your best young players to get him. And you have salary cap freedom. And you don't have a guy that you're paying $300 million to who's not available to you to play. I get it. You like Luka. You're going to miss Luka. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I have to explain to you the downside of Luka Doncic, other than he didn't play, you were one game out of a playoff spot and he didn't play. Do I really have to say more than that? Do I really have to say more than his volume shooting and bitching at the officials is why you didn't win an NBA championship? And you got a guy who was the reason the Lakers won a championship. You got a guy who fits very well in Dallas. He's very close friends with Kyrie. Him and Klay have a relationship. Like the upside, and this is what Mavericks fans don't want to get. The upside here belongs to the Mavericks. The upside here, when you can go and you have an ownership group that has a ton of money and is willing to spend it, you can upgrade from Luka, at least who Luka was as a Maverick the last 3 years, because he hasn't been very good for you. He hasn't been a leader. He hasn't been an elite player, and he hasn't been a professional. The day that he had a baby, it feels like his life as a basketball player became third. The video of the Mavericks having to take beer out of his hand in the hallway should tell you everything you needed to know about him. It's remarkable to me that we're really can you not be unemotional and look at the upside of this trade for the Dallas Mavericks? You're really struggling, which I find hard to believe, to see the potential upside here, because all of this is all potential. De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, potentially elite. Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers with LeBron, potentially elite. Luka, Dalton, and Austin Reeves together for the next 5 years, potentially elite.
Right.
It's all potential. All potential. Luka was doing nothing in Dallas, my friends. Like,
yeah.
What are we even talking about?
Yeah, I completely agree.
You got a guy in Anthony Davis who is playing elite bat. Have you looked at, I'm going to guess you haven't. Have you looked at his numbers for the Lakers? Have you spent any time? And as a Maverick fan, I'm sure you hate the Lakers, so probably not. The guy is averaging 26 points a game, 12 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2 steals, and 2.5 blocks. And he's played 42 games. He's played 42. Oh, he's always hurt. 76 last year, 42 this year. LeBron's played 44. Anthony Davis has spent over $10 million in the last 18 months on his body. And the results are there. And you think that you can't see those numbers. And the fact that his defensive efficiency is mind-blowing. It's off
that's
the
your
charts.
real game. That's the side of the ball that you should be talking about.
I mean, I Maverick fans, it is beyond me that you are pissed off Anthony Davis is on your team. And I'm guessing it's because Luka is not. Was he really an elite player for you the last 2 years? No. He's missed, 90 games?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that it's not surprising. We shouldn't be shocked that Maverick fan is emotional about losing Luka. I think, fans watch their team and that's it. Fans don't pay attention to what else is happening. And so, I'm sure fans are not amused with this trade, but what you're going to see is AD is a better player then
Jesus, how many times has Luka Doncic played all 82?
never.
Not once. Not once. 22 this
How
year.
many times has he played 70 games?
Once. 70 games last year, 66, 65, 66, 61, and his rookie year he played 72 games. And his numbers this year are atrociously off. I mean, he's off 7 points a game, and he's only played 22 games. His field goal percentage is 46%.
Yeah.
His three-point percentage is off 3.2%. You guys, come on. Come on. Please. It's wild to me. Tyler, Luka is the reason they got to the finals. Luka is 25 and an all-star who doesn't play games. And it's cool that you got to a finals. Anthony Davis is the reason the Lakers won the finals. So you have a guy who got you there who has never shown the ability to win. That's amazing to me. Ryan Smith's receding hairline. Jalen Hood Shafino acquired. We're spending big money in big game hunting.
We show up.
How's that Laker draft pick look now? Terrible. Has any Jazz fan thought about that? What was it, the 2020 or 31 or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I just think it's rich that everyone last week was like, "Oh man, wow, these trades are incredible. We're trading 3 picks to get 1 back, and the one we got is the better of the lesser, and we're doing geometry together over Jazz draft picks, and 2031 is going to be incredible, but now all our draft picks are devalued. So we have what? You don't really have anything. That's what I'm trying to tell Jazz fan is like, bro, like, how long are y'all going to believe the marketing spin? We're building. We've been building for 5 years. We're going to build for another 20. Like, at what point do you try to win games?
Luka is giving you 40, 10, and 10. Shut the fuck up. Okay, when's the last time he gave you 40, 10, and 10? More dominant player, Anthony Davis or Luka Doncic? Because what you did, and again, I know that clearly crack smoking is a thing in the comment section today. Show me where Luka's a 40, 10, and 10 player. Because he hasn't been that, certainly not this year. And if you look at Anthony Davis's his numbers, and if you look at, here's the other thing. You look at Luka's numbers last year. Is Luka good? Was he good in the postseason last year when he shot 32% from 3? Or his numbers were staggeringly off during the postseason last year? No, he wasn't. Like, I would love to understand. It's like this stuff. Anthony Davis is dominant right now.
You're so sure that you're right about this trade, dude. You look like a fool.
Tyler, Dallas fans went from having a 10-year window to a 2 or 3 year window.
Listen to dude talk about what he thinks the future is. Nico Harrison talking about, hey, this is what I feel the future is. It's not a 10-year window, right? It's a 3 to 4 year window in terms of what he thinks the future is.
Future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay Button, or we bury ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be laughing too at how scared I am.
And your owner has a ton of money and has shown a willingness. The owner approved it.
The idea that the Dallas Maverick fan thinks that they're so educated on Luca Doncic and they know better is crazy to me. The fact that you think that you legitimately think Luca's a 40, 10, and 10 guy consistently. Has he had a game here, a game there? Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Did he have a run? Yeah. Is he an elite player? Yeah. When he's in shape, he's 270 pounds.
Why do we apply one standard to Zion and not another standard, and we're applying another standard to Luka? Like, this guy is out of shape. He has been out of shape.
Like, you look at Anthony Davis, who is, in my opinion, at 30, I think he's 31 years old, Anthony Davis, with a cap hit of 30%. Okay. That's a big number. Luka Doncic, the same 30%, but his cap hit is $43 million, man. And you were going to have to give him the, what was it, $350 million Supermax? At 270 pounds, you want to pay that dude $350 million.
No, I'm good.
You're out of your mind.
I'm good.
And what did they gave him 229 in LA.
Yeah.
You want to pay Luka 350 or 229? I'm going to pay him 229. I'm going to take him at that number. And when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, look at their, here's the other thing that I just hope that Dallas fans can wrap their heads around. Look at the rest of your cap. Look at your practical cap space is what? You're over $42 million. But if you look at 25-26, you have Anthony Davis at a potential extension, right? Kyrie Irving. Has Kyrie Irving been good for the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, I think he's been pretty solid. Yeah,
I think he's been solid. Now we're going to find out who he is.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing Kyrie deserves credit for is staying out of the media issues, right? This is somebody who came to Dallas after a tumultuous period and has done a great job not being a problem there and just playing basketball.
We'll see what they do with Anthony Davis and what that extension looks like, but make no mistake about it. This idea that, the Mavericks had a 10-year window. They did not have a 10-year window. Not with a 270-pound, apathetic Luka Doncic.
Agreed.
They did not have a 10-year window. And in this league, you're playing in 2-year windows anyway. Look at Golden State trying to reacquire Kevin Durant over the weekend. Did you guys hear that story? That the Golden State Warriors threw the kitchen sink at Phoenix to get Kevin Durant, and they said no. The Phoenix Suns said no. The Warriors understand you're not playing in a 10-year window, dude. You've got a guy, and just look at Luka Doncic. What could you put around Luka Doncic that you didn't already have? You had veterans. You went and got Klay Thompson, who was a huge win. I think everybody would agree that was a coup over the summer, right? You have Kyrie Irving there. And you have a guy in Luka who's not dedicated, not working hard, not in shape. He's meaningless. He's got no value for you.
But for the Lakers, that changes because now you're on a LeBron James-led team and there's an expectation.
You guys, trust me, and it's going to take time. And I understand why Maverick fans are so upset. It's going to take time for you to get over losing Luka.
I mean, this is one of the biggest bombshells the NBA has offered us in several years. I mean, with
it's
all
not
due
like
respect,
you traded him for Jimmy Butler.
No, but
a guy at the end of his career, or you didn't do that.
Yeah.
You traded for one of the best defensive players and one of the most dominant centers, and a guy that is a triple-double every night, who has shown you the ability to play with LeBron James and is very close with Kyrie Irving, which matters. Man, if you were going to trade for him, I don't know that you could have gotten a better player in return. I really do not. Do you really want Jimmy Butler instead of Anthony Davis?
No.
Why would you want that? That's what, like, if you're the Miami Heat, you're in a really bad spot now. Because if the Kings had not moved De'Aaron Fox, if there was a possibility of how many 3-team deals are out there now? Not a lot. I'm telling you, the Mavericks did the right thing. They got out in front of it. They got a deal done first. Could they have done better? Yeah. Could they have gone out to the market? If you throw it out there that Luka Doncic is available for every other team in the NBA, how do you think that plays out?
Not well.
You could never have done that. You could never have done that. Eric Wasikowski, I wish AD would come back to Detroit with Cade. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Damian Fowler, do you think Jimmy Buckets is the next move? I don't know what Pat Riley is doing.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy over the weekend supposedly let it be known he's not going to Golden State. He would not waive his no trade for Golden State.
I think Jimmy Butler is trying to make it as difficult as possible on the Heat. I think he's taking it personally, which I don't blame him for.
The suspension's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think that he is going to make it as hard and as difficult for them to operate as possible.
Yeah. Common sense. I find it interesting that Dallas had 3 players that were number 2s on championship teams with Kyrie, Clay, and AD. They might be the best bet to make it out of the West. AD was not a number 2. Do you guys remember the bubble championship? They had, in fact, I would tell you who was their number 2 was Cantavius Caldwell-Pope.
Right.
Their number 1 option in that bubble championship, and he hit the biggest 3 probably in the history of the LA Lakers, was Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis and LeBron were a dominant 1-2. Cantavius Caldwell-Pope shot them to that championship, in my opinion. Anthony Davis was a number 1 on that team. And I think the Kyrie thing is very interesting. Because Kyrie thinks he's a number 1. Does he still think he's a number 1?
I mean, do they need him to be a number 1? I mean, obviously AD is going to be your number 1 in Dallas now. He's your number 1 option. He's your best scoring. But what I think is so interesting is like when you look at Dallas, they have this nice little workable mix now, right? You've got your scoring point guard. You've got your 3-point threat. Now you've got your interior threat. And, obviously the role players are going to fit in around those guys. And I like Dallas's chances. I do. The question is going to be, AD's buy-in and availability, because I'm still a huge believer, and nobody ever talks about it, that players, are human beings. They're not robots, man. It's not just like, oh, well, AD as a Laker was 29-10 with 2 steals and 8 boards and, or whatever, and that's just going to go right to Dallas, right? Like, these guys are human beings. They have to get comfortable rolling up to the locker room every day and not seeing LeBron James and Bronny in the room, right? Now you're rolling up to the locker room in a secondary market in Dallas, not a bad market, just not LA. And the locker room looks completely different. Like the same goes for Luka. Like if you're Luka Doncic walking into the Laker locker room, we're inevitably going to get the dap up with LaDad. We know that's going to happen. But at some point, you're going to have to, in the day-to-day, fit in with that group. You're the new guy on the block. You're not the best player on that team. You're not. Like, you're simply not. And that's why I think that Dallas has a better opportunity to win this trade at the end of the day, because Anthony Davis has never been Mr. Drama guy, right? His biggest issue over his career is his availability. He's taking care of that now, and now he's just trying to play basketball. Like, that's why I like this trade for Dallas. Outside of the money stuff that we've already talked about.
Is Luka still the same guy? Think about Luka at his very best with the Mavericks. Is he still that guy?
Yeah, I think he's still got that. Yeah. I think that Luka Doncic, I hope what happens for Luka here is he gets to LA, understands the expectations, gets in the best shape that he can get into in the middle of a season, because there's still those time limitations. Yep. And I will say, when you talk about heat checks and guys getting hot in the middle of a game, Luka's upside for him getting hot in the middle of a game is as high as anybody in the league.
We think. And my point in asking that question was, he could still be that player, but we don't know if he is. I know that Anthony Davis is playing the best basketball of his life, because we've seen it the last year and a half in LA.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
I don't have to wonder. Trevor Muse, first time seeing a notification for your show for a while. YouTube censorship? Yeah, I don't know. Don't care.
Yeah, I have no idea, bro.
It is what it is. I appreciate that you're here.
5 days a week for a long time, bro.
I appreciate that you're here. And while you're here, make sure you download the Prize Picks app. Use a promo code Monty.
Yeah. What's Luka's line?
Not playing. That's Luka's line, right? Which is the crazy thing. We'll see when these guys pass their physicals, and we'll see all that. That huge weekend. I would also like to point out, was the Carolina Duke game a bust?
Yeah.
I think the Carolina Duke game was a bust.
No question about it. Yeah.
And I'm quite disappointed in that.
I was more interested in Pebble Beach.
I watched all of Pebble Beach. I was trying to flip around. My wife hates college basketball. I was really disappointed in Duke, Carolina, mainly as a Carolina fan. Is anybody paying attention to Cooper Flag?
Nope. Not right now. Just flying under the radar.
21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 dimes in a win on Prize Picks. I would also like to ask RJ Davis if he gives a damn about winning basketball games. That was one of the most lackluster RJ Davis performances I've ever seen. Did I mention it was Duke? You know that was, like the Duke Blue Devils that everybody's in the pooper for Cooper.
Right. Trying to capture the flag.
And I would also like to point out that the beloved, the Phoenix Suns, got railed in Portland.
Yeah.
But my guy, Devin Booker, I say, God dang.
He's putting out, Monty.
I say, God dang.
Hey, Monty.
37 points, 5 dimes, and 4 boards. 2 of 3 on Prize Picks. Thank you, Cooper. Thank you, Sex Machine. Screw you, RJ Davis.
Yeah.
2 of 3 on Prize Picks. That means I got paid because it's really easy to get paid on Prize Picks. Patrick Mahomes is still the free pick. Leading up to the Super Bowl, there's never been a better time. If you are not on the Prize Picks bandwagon, download the app. Use the promo code Monty to open up a new Prize Picks account.
Yeah.
You deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more instantly. Flex play, 3 selections. Patrick Mahomes, half a yard more or less passing. I'm going to say more. I'm going to go more. I'm going to go more.
Are you sure?
Then all you have to do is get one more right and you're making money on Prize Picks. And I think we all pretty much agree. I say pretty much agree that Saquon Barkley for half a touchdown is a lock. I would think. And then I would go, speaking of fat athletes, Travis Kelce under 62 yards. Excuse me. Trav. Tay-Tay's bitch.
Okay, what's the comment section got for us real quick? Real quick. What else are people saying?
Sharice, the Cavs are better than the Mavericks, but hands down. The Cavs might be the best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right now. Trevor Muse. For a Jazz perspective, who's next to be traded, bro?
Dude.
The Jazz are incredibly disappointing to me, and I will continue to say this.
And it's got nothing to do with their wins and losses this year.
Stop talking to me about Ryan Smith being an elite owner. Stop telling me how great the hockey team is. You can't get the uniform or the name right. How did you not check the trademark on Yeti? You've got $1 billion handout, and you've done nothing with that. And the Jazz keep winning games, and you're trying to get in the pooper for Cooper. So let me get this right. That
But
Jazz,
are they?
No,
Are they, though?
Apparently not, because everybody, told me how stupid I was that when I said the Jazz Laker trade, where or the Jazz Phoenix trade, excuse me, and the Lakers 2031, and those picks are meaningless now. Those picks are meaningless. The 2027, I think they have the 2027 Laker pick, meaningless now. Meaningless. And I keep trying to tell people, if you're the Jazz and you're making trades to facilitate winning for the Lakers, I don't know what you're doing. How did you facilitate the Luka Doncic to LA trade? In what right mind did you say, yeah, I'm going to make that trade? Well, it's because you don't have assets to spend because Ryan Smith is diamond cutting to try and put money back in his pocket on the hockey deal.
Yeah.
They're not going to go and try and win. The Jazz are not going to make trades to help themselves. And the day that they trade Walker Kessler is the day I will never talk about the Jazz again. Because if you trade Walker Kessler, you're telling me you've given up on winning in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
As simple as that. You have enough. Oh, we're signing Lauri Markkanen. We're Lowry Markkanen. And why did you trade Rudy and Don? Why did you trade Bagsnatchevich? What are you doing to win a game? What are you doing to get Cooper Flag?
That's right. You're keeping Jordan Clarkson on the roster 5 years too long. That's right.
Yeah, everybody who told me I was stupid about Jordan Clarkson.
Right.
How's that looking now? Matt Ritson. How about ASU player, headbutt Arizona player, both thrown out of the game, and ASU coach didn't shake hands after the game? It's Arizona, man.
Yeah.
It's Arizona.
Rivalry.
Oak State James, can I hope that Dallas trades for Laurie? Why? Why would you want that now? Does that mix work? What are you going to do with Lively?
Yeah.
Because Lively and AD can be on the floor at the same time.
And be good.
So imagine AD, Kyrie, Clay, and Laurie on the floor at the same time. Lively on the floor at the same time. That should be your priority.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But, what do I know? All right, let's switch gears and get into a little more detail on the Mountain West Pac-12 situation. I love that everybody's telling me now that others are reporting that the Mountain West is in negotiations with their TV partners. As we reported exclusively on the show Friday, Gloria Nevarez and the Mountain West have been exploring extensions or new media rights deals with their current partners, FS1 and CBS Sports Network. And they have multiple seven-figure branding deals in the works. And we were able to get a little more detail on what the Mountain West is doing with their media rights partners that led to kind of a treasure trove of information, including the fact that Gloria Nevarez and the Mountain West, some of their first conversations after they were rated by the Pac-12 were to their TV partners, CBS and Fox Sports. They brought them in to the inner workings in the current situation of the Mountain West almost as soon as they got word that they were being rated by the Pac-12. And now it looks like a stroke of brilliance because there's a lot of people in the TV industry telling us that whoever gets that first deal is probably going to get the best deal. And it's very similar to where the Pac-12 was previously when they got beat to the market by the Big 12. Will that happen again with the Mountain West? I think it's going to be fascinating to watch. If the Mountain West, in fact, gets to that coveted $8 million number per school per season, is that same deal still out there for the Pac-12? It is a really, really important question to ask. And when you go down this road now, and we're learning the details of what the Mountain West did in the wake of that rating by the Pac-12, the fact that the Mountain West, some of their first communications were to their media rights partners, speaks volumes about the relationships that Gloria Nevarez has. If, in fact, Gloria Nevarez reached out to her TV partners first to say, hey, here's where we are, this is where we want to go. And if, in fact, she took counsel from her TV partners, it tells you the intelligence level that the Mountain West is working with, because it would be easy to put your head in the sand and say, we have a TV deal, let's go out and find schools. But the hard part is to go to your TV partners and say, hey, we're being rated by the Pac-12, and we're losing Boise State, and we're losing Fresno State, and we're losing San Diego State. That'd be a scary proposition if you're the Mountain West. But they did it anyway, and now it looks like it is paying dividends. Because according to our sources, the Mountain West has worked very closely with their stakeholders, including their TV partners, on these expansion targets, the GCUs of the world, the NIUs of the world, the UTEPs of the world. Those were not just random, let's get whoever we can get. They had very close counsel from their stakeholders, and Jake, it looks like Gloria Nevarez is living up to that billing of a pretty phenomenal conference commissioner.
Right. And I think that that's always been her reputation. And I think that when you ask the question of, hey, who's going to get that deal first, that next best deal, I don't know how people have the Pac-12 in the driver's seat for that. Like you look at the path here, you look at all the driving factors and where the Pac-12 is at. I'm going to continue to say it. You can't, on one hand, be a conference that's looking for that 8th full share member to complete the picture. But then on the other hand, also out in the TV marketplace, trying to sell yourself to get something done. You can't have both occurring at the same time, which is exactly what is happening for the Pac-12. And I think, when I look at the Mountain West, sure, do they have brands that maybe are not as, iconic or big or however you want to describe it, whatever adjective you want to use? Sure, their brands are a little bit smaller, but what they do have is cohesiveness and forward momentum, and that what they do have is good vibes. Gloria Nevarez is respected. She has a great relationship with all her TV partners. So for me, I just I don't see a world where the Pac-12, somehow gets this great grandiose TV deal. Everyone in our comment section saying, you guys are stupid. They're going to get $10 million a year and it's going to be CW and Prime. Last year, the reporting was, hey, they're going to get this done by Christmas. And then none of that happened, all quiet. And now we're in a place where we're in February, right? We're working, to the halfway point of quarter one of the year, and we've got nothing. So I'm just not confident that the Pac-12 and its leadership with this mix of schools is going to be able to go out to the marketplace and beat a conference in the Mountain West who has superior relationships, has a good mix of schools, not great, but a good mix of schools, and is prepared and it handles things the right way and has a better reputation. Like, I don't know how you beat that.
Well, and I think this is a very dangerous time for both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. And I think the Pac-12, from what we've heard from our sources, close to that situation, the Pac-12 is building a media rights deal. There's simply no doubt about that. A large part of it is going to be stream and fast channel. And I still maintain, I was talking to a good friend in television over the weekend who was telling me, I think it's CW, I think it's streaming, and I think it's fast channel. And they're going to struggle to get to $8 million with that deal. And I think $8 million is the magic number. If one or both of these conferences is able to pull $8 or more million, it's an unequivocal win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Pac-12, the biggest issue for the Pac-12 right now is there's a lot of instability on their roster. There's a lot of questions about what money is actually available to the Pac-12 and what's in their coffers based on these lawsuits. And I think it is a massive question hanging over the conference. What will the result of these lawsuits over the poaching fees and the exit fees be? Because I continue to hear from sources close to the Mountain West, they are not going to settle the poaching fees. It is a matter of principle to the Mountain West. I think that when you look across all of these scenarios, I still think, although I would put it at 10%, I still think there is a very small chance these two leagues merge.
Mm-hmm.
And while there has not been negotiations about a merger, that topic continues to be broached. And it continues to be pushed and continue to be asked by all parties involved. Because the other thing I think a lot of people forget, the Mountain West and the Pac-12 are talking to the same people. The Pac-12 is talking to CBS. The Pac-12 is talking to Fox. The Pac-12 is no longer talking to ESPN, as we reported exclusively on the show. ESPN is not currently in conversations with the Pac-12 or the Mountain West, from what I understand. But you look at all of those brands continue to say, why don't you guys merge? Why don't you guys become one entity? And that topic continues to come up.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody who's out here like, oh yeah, the Pac-12 is just this dominant force and is going to get a deal. And like TV partners aren't going to enter into a bad situation. And again, when you talk about why the Mountain West won't budge on this exit fee situation, not only is it a matter of principle, right? Like, you signed a contract, you did exactly what you said you weren't going to do in that contract, which is poach all of our teams, and then you don't want to pay the exit fee for that. So on principle alone, the Mountain West has the Pac-12, in the palm of its hand. The Pac-12 has no recourse. There's nothing that you're going to do avoid those exit fees. And you can negotiate all day long. But the fact of the matter is, Glory Nevarez has the hammer in every situation. So in my opinion, what the Mountain West is trying to do is bleed the Pac-12 dry, which is exactly what I would do. Suffocate them. Tell them, hey, we're not budging on this exit fee negotiation.
Drag it out.
You guys can pay the legal fees. You guys can continue to not have revenue. You guys can continue to spin and try to market your way to an actual conference. Because again, I'm going to keep saying it. The Pac-12 does not exist right now. You guys understand that, right? They're like, you can create graphics, you can put out a Twitter account, but you're not an actual conference right now. You are a grouping of schools that committed to something that doesn't exist yet. That's what you are right now. So,
well, and I think the longer this stuff drags out, the problem for the Pac-12 is you're in this stagnant place where it's difficult for you to expand because the money that you would pay, and let's fantasize, UNLV, the money you would pay UNLV to move them out of the Mountain West, where are you going to get that money from? Not paying poaching fees and saving exit fees is where that money would come from. But if you've got to pay those poaching fees, that starts emptying your coffers. And I think you're paralyzed by it.
yeah.
We can sit here and we can pretend, and we've heard all about, oh, well, it's going to be right before the new year. The Pac-12 is going to announce their new media rights. Well, now it's January. Oh, it's February, but it's in March, and it'll be before the football kick.
Like,
We can keep pushing this off. The problem for the Pac-12 is they're in a very tough spot. They're in a very difficult position in really critical situations that are difficult to navigate because those conversations keep coming back to, hey, have you guys talked about merging with the Mountain West? Hey, how much of those poaching fees? Where are you at on that lawsuit? Those are the questions that they're constantly having to navigate.
yes.
And all it's doing, they're running in mud right now because they're suing and they're being sued. And meanwhile, and it doesn't matter what your feelings are about the universities that are in the Mountain West, they've expanded. They've added NIU. They've added GCU for basketball. They've added UTEP. They've kept UNLV. And they are just moving forward. And I think, is there a drag on the Mountain West? Yes. Are they free and clear? Absolutely not. They're both, the Pac-12 and the Mountain West are inarguably in very dangerous situations. Because, for instance, if UNLV leaves the Mountain West, that's a death blow. It's over. Las Vegas right now is such a critical, important piece of real estate between these two conferences. They both want to own it. And neither one of them at the moment, in my opinion, have a real ability to cement their position going forward.
Well, outside of the fact that UNLV signed an agreement to stay in the conference. I mean, people love to say, oh, well, those agreements aren't binding. They're not contractually binding. They don't have to follow that. Yeah, just like they didn't have to follow that agreement between the two conferences for poaching fees. Like, they do have to follow it, dude. You signed a contract. Like, I disagree that the Mountain West and the Pac-12 are in similar positions in terms of their picture moving forward. Yes, the Mountain West is not raking in the money, right? You're not just like pouring in money. But what you do have is you do have some semblance of stability. You can say, hey, we have this group of schools that are committed to the conference on this timeline, and we're working on extending.
We have 8 football members, 10 full members. Like you have, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But until you get a new media rights deal, nothing is locked up.
And Gloria said, in that statement that we talked about last week, that they're working on that's being talked about, that's fully coming down the pipe. So I would not at all be surprised to see something get done in the first quarter.
I will continue to tell you that you have to take your emotion out of it, especially if you're a Pac-12 fan. You're so angry and you're so pissed off. And I've heard from so many people in Las Vegas about, how they feel disrespected and the market's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. Are you being disrespected? Yes. No doubt about it. You're being disrespected. You're not going to get any more respect by leaving the Mountain West and going to the Pac-12 today.
Yeah.
And I will sit here and tell you candidly, I've talked to multiple people at UNLV. There's not a whole lot of appetite to do anything right now. I will again tell you, UNLV is not currently in a position to leave the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, the margins are too small. That's the problem. You don't have, this has been something we've talked about a long time. Like, Like, we're not talking about like Power 4 level programs here that have the wherewithal to take risk. And that's why it was so incredible to me that the Boise States of the world, or any of the schools that are already committed to the Pac-12 and 26, did that, because you're sitting here looking at the financial picture of these schools, and you're not in a position to sign an agreement to go to a conference that doesn't exist yet, only to have that conference not get the kind of TV deal that you were guaranteed. And this is the conundrum that I think the Pac-12 finds itself in.
Yep.
We promised our member institutions one thing, but the TV deal that we're actually looking at is another thing. So what's going to happen when inevitably you get a media rights deal of some variety, and it's substandard? It's not what it needed to be to satiate everybody in the conference.
I don't think you were ever getting the original $12 to $15 million that was talked about. That is a pipe dream. That's never going to happen. I think whichever one of these conferences gets to $8 million, and I am told right now today that the Mountain West is between $8 and $9 million per school per year. That's going to be very difficult for the other conference to overcome.
Yeah.
If Gloria Nevarez brings in a media rights deal before the Pac-12 announces theirs, I think it is going to cause chaos. It is going to be very dangerous for the Pac-12. They have got to get, I still maintain 8 would be great. 10 would be a dominant number.
Yeah.
If the Pac-12 gets to 10, $10 million per school. If they get that $100 million number, that is going to be a game changer for the Pac-12. That will be foundational. That will be stabilizing. That's money that each of your members, but I can't see them getting there. I cannot see them getting there. Not in, we're cutting you $100 million check every single year. I can't see them getting there. I truly cannot. And I think the irony of the Mountain West beating the Pac-12 to a TV deal, when that's exactly what destabilized the Pac-12 2 years ago, and the Big 12 getting a TV extension done before the Pac-12, absolutely gutted that conference.
So
and it's why the Pac-12 doesn't exist today.
So I say, like, has leadership really changed all that much? Are things really that different in the Pac-12 now than they were 2 years ago?
No, they're not.
3 years ago, like they're not. We're having the same conversation.
No, they're not.
You know, this is the same thing as, hey, the Pac-12 is going to get $500 million, and we're worth $50 million a year, and we're like all those wild, outlandish claims that people were making, like, and then none of that actually worked out. None of that came to fruition, and that's what I struggle with. And everyone wants to say, like, I'm sure in the comment section right now, people are saying, "Oh, well, you guys hate the Pac-12, and this is a Mountain West show." It's just not like that. I'm sitting here as a fan of neither of these conferences or situations, if you want to call them that, saying like, hey, like, I don't understand how we disagree so much on these two and their path and their current situation. I'm looking at where are you guys at? Where's the starting line for both of these conferences right now? And how far do you have to go to get a TV deal?
Yeah.
And the Mountain West, if you want to make a track analogy, is 300 meters down the track on a 400-meter race.
Yeah.
Like, it's different.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's pretty remarkable. I truly do. I think the way that Gloria Nevarez has handled this whole thing is, I think this is why I continue to say the biggest mistake the Pac-12 made was not executing a merger with her as your commissioner.
100%.
I think that's the one that'll come back. Eric Wasikowski, Big Mountain Conference should just become a thing already. Pac-12 Mountain West merger.
Yeah.
Truly, I agree with that.
And then you could market the hell out of that as like a new conference, and we're dominating the West Coast time slot, and like it just opens things up.
I don't think it happens. I think it's 10%. It continues to be broached. Like I said, it makes a lot of sense, but I think there's so much heat there. There's so much vitriol. There's so many hurt feelings. I would be really surprised.
The shame in it is that in order for a merger to happen, in my opinion, the Pac-12 would have to get put in a place by the Mountain West where there was no other option, right? Like, where it was like, hey, we're not giving in on the poaching fees. You're not getting UNLV. because you don't have the 8th full share member, you can't get a TV deal. So where are you going to go? Oh, that's right. You're going to merge and you're going to do it on the terms we give you. And that's it. And that's anything short of that in a merger doesn't happen. But that would be the path, in my opinion, because there's so much pride with Teresa Gould and company. There's so much of, hey, we're a better conference. This is the conference of champions. We're like, that narrative has crippled the Pac-12 and will continue to hold them back.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. And I think that's why you get Pac-12 fans that are all pissed off and, you guys don't know what you're talking about and you're stupid. And okay, cool. It's why Utah State fan is so. I was talking to a Utah State fan at the gym yesterday, and it's interesting the way people act in public.
Was this the classic roll up to you and say, "Hey, Monty,
love your show, buddy"? And Utah State fan in the comment section is always pissed off, right? And so I'm doing my core work yesterday at the gym, and this cat rolls up to me, and his name's Blake, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Blake. Hey, I'm Blake, and love your show. I watch every day. Why don't you ever answer me on Twitter?" And so I go and I tell him, "Well, I don't read my notifications.
Yeah.
I never read my DMs. Like, I just don't." And he goes on to tell me that he said something to the effect of, "I appreciate that you guys have never been wrong about the Mountain West and the Pac-12, but you're always wrong about Utah State, and you've got to give us a better chance." And so I said to him, "Okay, what have I been wrong about?" And it's inevitable. We're always disrespected. We're a good university. I'm like, yeah, and I get that, Balake, but what have I been wrong about? What have I been? And the answer never is, well, X, Y, and Z, because Utah State fan, you're just so persecuted. And the truth is, Utah State is irrelevant when it comes to football in this state. You're never going to be BYU or Utah, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And the scandals that you have, the Title IX stuff, that's not fabricated.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best version of Utah State is as a football program is the season record for BYU and Utah. And we've seen that over the years. Obviously there have been gnarly injuries in that game to quarterbacks, and we've seen it. But I think ultimately, whether you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, a Pac-12 fan, a Utah State fan, whoever you want to point to, Oak Stake James getting defensive about Mike Gundy, like, fans get defensive and they say, "Oh, you're wrong." But then when you ask them, "Hey, well, what have I been wrong about?" They never are able to point anything out. Yeah. It's just that they're upset that you're criticizing the situation. And that's what I'm saying. Jazz fan. It's like Jazz fan over the years. The mea culpa on this show with Jazz fan has been incredible, because it used to be, "Oh, well, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like they're never going to trade those guys." And then all of a sudden, "Hey, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Utah's never going to the Big 12. And then all of a sudden,
it's pretty remarkable. And again, I'll just tell you, we don't talk about stuff that we don't know about. Like, it's as simple as that. All right. Fat Jesus, I never thought I would see the Pac-12 get $10 million for a whole conference to share. Quote, Larry Scott. Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. And Donuts, hello. The premise of the Pac is to build a conference with schools willing to invest. No more Hawaii's, San Jose States, or Wyoming's. Well, the issue is those schools aren't out there. And I'll continue to preach the gospel for Sac State. Yeah. Sacramento State should absolutely be in the Pac-12. I mean, the money they have, the facilities they're investing in, the market they bring to bear, Sac State would be a phenomenal partner.
And by the way,
will it happen? I don't know.
I still need to keep asking, why is the Pac-12 not looking into private equity? Why are you not selling shares of this conference for liquidity?
I think that's a very interesting point. I don't know. Mayor Bolton, good morning to you, friend. I don't know. I think that's very interesting. Brandon Butler, a Utah State fan. Those are as rare as a Yeti in Utah. I want photo evidence that they exist. And the amazing thing is, it's not uncommon for people to be like, oh, hey, I watch your show. Cool, I appreciate that. It was the Utah fan during the Pac-12 meltdown.
Yes.
And now the Utah State fan who is so pissed off and bitter that they went to the Pac-12 and they thought that it would be this big thing. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Utah State being in the Pac-12. Logan, Utah, it's meaningless. It is, and it's not that you're a bad university. Utah State's a fine university.
It's just irrelevant.
It's not that your teams suck. Your teams don't suck. They're just they're not on the radar. Nobody.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, that Blake. Yes, that Blake.
Oh, that
I
Blake.
think it takes a lot of balls to walk up to somebody who's working out.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. I truly have not understood that. Eric says Utah State has fans, like 13 of them. They do. B Lock A.
Okay, so
exactly.
Hold on. So he tells you, hey, like you don't give us enough credit.
I was on this big turf area.
Yeah.
I was using a foam roller and a yoga ball.
Yeah.
To do abs.
Right.
And I'm doing these, they call them glute bridges, right? And he just walks up to me, middle of my set. He's like, hey, you're Monty. I was like,
that's
yeah.
me.
And actually what I did is I put my thumb up because I was trying to like get through the last 10 seconds of this thing. I sat up and he's like, oh, I love your show. I watch it every day. And then he just went into this whole thing about how I give no respect and Utah State is a better athletic program. That one of the things, we're a better athletic program than BYU.
Uh-huh. Right.
What's wrong with you?
Right.
And I said, okay, if that's what you feel, that is, you're entitled to your opinion.
100%. Yeah.
But nothing bears that out as fact. What has BYU done? And he got like uppity about it. He's like, what has BYU done that's better than Utah State?
Yeah.
And I said, well, they're not being investigated by the federal government for Title IX and sexual assault, number one. He's like, that was one program. Everybody's had those issues. I'm like, okay, well, they are in the Big 12, which is a Power 4 conference, and they damn near won the whole thing this year. Well, damn near isn't winning. I'm like, okay, they're spending big money on basketball. Like, and it just goes on and on and on. They're spending big money on basketball. They're winning in recruiting.
So my question is, how did you move? Like, how does this conversation end when he's like, he just, goes on and on?
I just started doing crunches.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'll let you get back to your workout. Just wanted you to know I appreciate the show.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you.
And I said, hey, I really appreciate you saying hi. Thanks.
So funny.
It's just awkward at the gym.
Yeah,
man.
Well, and we've always talked about it too. Like, we haven't as much lately, but before on the show, like, the time when someone walks up to you and, they're like, hey, I don't know, like, we don't know who you are, but you know us type deal. Like, it makes it tough.
Yeah. Almost as bad as guy who would walk up to me in the gym because I was wearing a mask.
Right.
During COVID. Brandon, they're like Utah fans. They only come out when they play BYU. And it's so funny to me how it's always BYU. Utah fan is always talking about BYU. Utah State fan is always talking about BYU. Now, granted, BYU fan doesn't mind talking about Utah. Nobody ever talks about Utah State.
Right.
Never, ever. Cam Harrison, this is not a Utah State show. No, it's not. But did you guys in the comment section, right? Literally, the comment is, stick to the SEC. You don't know our conference. Our conference. Come on, man. Come on. Like, what do you mean? BYU is a legit contender to win the Big 12. If BYU were to play Utah State in April after spring ball, BYU would win 45-10. Those games are very competitive.
Yeah.
Utah State, but you're missing the point. Utah State's not a bad program. They just aren't on anybody's radar.
Yeah. Relevancy is what they don't have.
They're on Taysom Hill's radar because they broke his leg. But other than that, right, that is what they do. It's yes, and Donuts, Utah State fanboy. It's incredible.
And again,
incredible.
There's nothing, it doesn't make you a bad person, but I have to say, again, and piggyback off what you said, it is incredible to roll up to somebody at the gym and say, hey, bro, love your show, but you're a jackwagon on Utah State. Like,
but it's a guy like Egan. Better without Luka. You guys actually might be terrible at this. We know we're terrible.
Yeah, we're
at this.
awful. We're
we
terrible.
suck
dude.
at this. We
Yeah.
don't watch the NBA.
Yeah.
We don't know fat. I mean, Luka, like, he doesn't weigh 270 pounds.
Yeah,
like,
Luka Lardass isn't a thing.
everybody's saying he weighs 270 pounds, but you guys know more.
Yeah, you guys
I love
are
it.
more educated.
I
bro.
love it on my TikTok video comments. He doesn't weigh 270. Okay. But so that number was just made
And that's why his knee, his ankle, his calf, they're all hurt and sore. Not, like, come on, dude. That's why the guy trudges around the floor.
I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed.
Come on.
I am amazed by it. Oh, by the way, there was another massive loss for Ohio State. Remember we were talking about last week? No, we don't know Ohio State or football at all. So we weren't. It was a dream.
We're out of here.
It was a dream, right? Remember we were telling you last week that Chip Kelly was up for the Texans job? Yeah, apparently that was a smokescreen. Because Chip Kelly went to the Las Vegas Raiders as their offensive coordinator. Yeah, and I know we have a huge Michigan contingent on this show, so you guys are probably thrilled about this. I think these are seismic changes in Columbus. I don't know how anymore you get away from the fact that you've lost three really important coaches. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and O-line coach. Yeah, those aren't big positions.
I just don't understand
Good night.
how we got here in college football, where you win a national championship and everybody leaves.
Man.
I don't understand it. And I understand it from a player perspective, like the Will Howard situation. If you're just trying to get to the NFL and Ohio State's your horse to do that. Okay, I understand that, right? Like Will can't play anymore, get it. But Chip, is Chip saying that he's done everything he wants to do in college football? Is that what you're, because again, when you go to Ohio State, you're not going to then, for another job, go down, right? You're not going to take a lesser job at a different program, so like
program,
now it's like you're leaving, the Buckeyes program to go to the Raiders. I'm sorry. How does that add up? How are we supposed to be excited about this? Like, how am I supposed to sit here and be like, oh man, wow, Chip, dude, bro, you flamed at UCLA. You quit on that program because you were terrible as a head coach there. Then you went to Ohio State and won a natty as the OC. And now you're going to the league to be the Raiders OC?
It's amazing. It's amazing that you guys haven't hit the like button yet. Please give us a thumbs up. We've had well over 2,000 views and we're only at 40 likes right now. Please hit the like button. But you start looking at what winning does to teams. I mean, especially in football, you look at Ohio State, they've been gutted. This is going to be tough to overcome in a league that I would assume, you have to think Oregon's going to reload. I mean, I would assume Ohio State's going to reload. But look at the money that we're talking about. Do you guys understand the money that college football coordinators are getting paid? And we talked about it last week with Ohio State. Were they unwilling to pay Jim Knowles? Well, they weren't willing to pay as much as Penn State. And I don't think, again, much like the Mavericks and Luka, I don't think they're cheap. I think they just didn't want to pay that guy. You're going to have to pay now because you're down two coordinators and an O-line coach, and that's not going to be easy to replace. I think it's going to be very, very challenging. It is going to be very challenging. Chip Kelly wanted to follow a young head coach at the Raiders. Pete Carroll. Am I the only one who thinks that's an odd hire? Did you want the most desperate guy to be your head coach? Pete was thirsty out there, like having his agent talk about how he was a candidate for the Patriots and Bears job, and the Patriots are like, no, he's not. It's wild to me that the Las Vegas Raiders, with that bull head cut owner, hired Pete Carroll, who then hired Chip Kelly. Crazy to me. Crazy to me. I am amazed by it. I'm amazed by it. Phil Venzer. Well, Tom Brady is calling the shots here in Vegas.
Yeah, I guess, man. It's
Maybe.
still-
Yeah, well, yeah,
Good
Eric
luck explaining
Wasikowski.
it.
How about that comparison? Why did Detroit lose their coordinators? Well, because they were very good.
But to that point, you guys didn't win the Super Bowl, right? Like Ohio State won the college football Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and
essentially.
everybody left.
Sir, do you think that's an indictment on Ryan Day?
I don't know if it's an indictment on Ryan Day or not, but what I do know is like it used to be in sports that when you won, you tried to win again. You tried to repeat. You tried to run it back. And now it's like, oh, we won.
Yeah.
We better go chase the bag, which I don't blame people for. I'm never going to blame you for trying to get paid more money, but you can't tell me Chip Kelly didn't have a cushy setup at Ohio State. Like, come on, dude.
Well, Egan continues to tell us what he doesn't know.
Go to LeBron James' Twitter. Just
no one person has ever said Bron and AD hate each other.
Really? That's why LeBron James retweeted CBS Sports, a report
Bill Ryder
from Bill Ryder saying that LeBron James had grown frustrated with Anthony Davis. Really, dude? Really?
Well,
nobody had reported that there were issues between the two. What are you talking about, bro?
Are
you serious?
This is amazing how easy you make this, Egan, when you show your fandom. And there's even do you guys understand? Egan, I think this is probably your first time here. And if it's not, okay, I appreciate you coming back. Do you understand how easy you make this? Not only has this been reported multiple times in the last 3 days, but go ahead and check, go ahead and peep the community note there as I get all the banners off. LeBron James has already refused the claim made above. Here's LeBron James tweeting at CBS Sports. CBS Sports said LeBron had grown frustrated with Anthony Davis. Bill Ryder with some insights on how the Lakers got to this point. To which LeBron said, "You're an effing lie," and had clown emojis. Oh, nobody ever said. Nobody has.
Come on,
guy,
dude.
Like, why do keyboard warriors like Egan come in here and you just make it so easy? You make it so easy. Oh, Boyd Lake, success gets attention. Chip took a step down to go to Ohio State, appears to be setting up for his next head coaching gig. I don't think he wants to be a head coach anymore. I do not think he wants to be a head coach anymore. He does not. Sorry, I forgot to hit the like button. Too busy celebrating Anthony Davis is now a Maverick. Okay. I think when you look at Chip Kelly, I wouldn't agree that Chip took a step down. He won a national championship as an offensive coordinator and now got paid.
Yeah. It took a massive step up in programs.
Yeah. Is going from Ohio State football to Las Vegas Raiders football a step up? I don't think it is.
No.
I don't think I would categorize it as that. Brandon Butler. I think it's that sports is as mercenary as ever. Coaches are chasing the bag because a career could be over with one bad year.
Oh,
there's something in that.
You know, what's interesting is like, you know, NBA players reacting to the Luka trade were like, hey, I think it was Durant who had said at one point, like, you know, the league is a wild place right now. Like anybody can get traded. Coaches can do whatever. Like there's no loyalty. And I think that eventually is going to come back around, right? At some point when dudes are just out here trying to get paid as much money as possible and not worrying about their career arc, not worrying about, it's like Luka, right? Like this art, I can't believe people are sitting here arguing the fact that this dude is out of shape and weighs 270. Like that's not in question. Like that is widely reported.
Listen,
bro.
I understand why Maverick fans this morning are upset that Luka's not on your team anymore. I get that. That was your dude. You got jerseys. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But that you cannot see that he was comfortable, out of shape, not working hard, not committed to winning. He's missed almost 100 games. And he was about to get a $350 million extension. And yet, what's all over the comment section? Mavericks are cheap. Mark Cuban sucks. Hey, Mark Cuban doesn't even own the team anymore and is not involved in day-to-day operation. He's a minority owner who's not involved in day-to-day operations of the club any longer. It's not Mark Cuban's decision. So you can call him cheap. What does that have to do with Luka Doncic getting traded? Because he weighs 270 pounds and they didn't want to give him $350 million because he's lacking drive and motivation.
Yeah.
And then he gets off the plane to validate their decision. He gets off the plane and immediately starts going, LA, bro. LA, let's do this. LA. Come on. Like, what are we even talking about, man? Like, I get it, Maverick fan. You're upset today. But it's all in the pudding, man. Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Jimmy Otson, if Chip's offense can lead an NFL team to a Super Bowl, he'll be legendary.
Yeah.
And he would be able to get another head coaching job. I just don't think he wants it to. Boyd and everybody else, I think we've gotten away from the fact that, like, did you guys hear about this Matt Rule thing? You want to know how hard it is to be a college football coach right now? Matt Rule canceled the Nebraska spring game because he's been getting poached and he didn't want to put new, fresh tape out of his guys. So they're going to have a spring something. It just won't be a spring football game where all of his guys are competing because he doesn't want his guys to get poached. That's where we are now. It's an arms race.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you listen to Matt, like you begin to understand that this is somebody who understands his place in the college football landscape. Like him standing up there and talking about that tampering doesn't exist anymore, or that word isn't like a thing anymore. I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, you listen to him and you can see the pain in his voice. You watch him and it's like, yeah, dude, like you're not wrong.
Did you say you could see the pain in his voice?
Yeah, play it. Like, do it.
You can see the pain
You
in
can.
his voice. What do you mean by see the pain?
You
in
can
his voice?
see that dude is frustrated. He's got to cancel 60,000 people coming to the stadium.
I love you.
Because other coaches are trying to poach his players.
I agree.
Dude.
You can see the pain on his face. You can hear the emotion in Matt Rule.
You know, last year we're one of the more televised. We were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. So to go out and bring in a bunch of new players and then showcase them for all the other schools to watch, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolute free, open, common market. And so I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. I don't want these guys all being able to watch our guys and say, wow, he looks like a pretty good player. Let's go get him. So
he looks like a pretty good player. Let's throw a bag of money at him.
I mean, I think it makes perfect sense.
It does.
It makes absolute perfect sense that you would not have a spring game because you don't want all these scouts and everybody coming and looking at all your players.
I think it is going to be really interesting to see who does and who doesn't. And
yeah,
it's just who we've become in college athletics. Brandon Butler, hello. At some point, this is like the Don trade. There is something more to this behind the scenes. You don't trade young all-star unless they give you a reason.
Well, I think the reason's pretty clear here. Like, I don't think this is rocket science at all.
At all. Luka has not been. Listen, if you're a Mavericks fan, I don't know how you argue the following points. He's not been a good teammate. It's really difficult to watch Kristaps Porzingis go to Boston and win a championship and become a better player than he was with Luka. And why is that? Because Luka is a ball hog. The ball, he has shown repeatedly he will not pass the ball. Well, it just cost him $116 million.
Bro, you had Jalen Brunson on your team.
And, well, Monty, he just wanted to go back to New York. Hey, that might be true. That might be true. But you had the hammer with the money. And the inarguable facts about Luka Doncic, he is a volume shooter and a volume player who is a streaky three-point shooter. When he's hot, look out. He's hard to play with. He is not dedicated to being in peak physical condition. And he wanted a $350 million contract.
Yeah.
Tell me why that's bad business for the Mavericks to say, no, we're not giving Luka Doncic $350 million. That's good business.
Yeah.
You got Anthony Davis, one of the elite defenders in the NBA. You got Anthony Davis back in return. And he's one of the most dominant bigs in the NBA.
I mean, do they not get any credit for doing what's not popular here, for doing the hard thing? Like, it would have been easy to just sit on this team and say, yeah, we got Luka and we'll just go into the playoffs and we probably won't win a championship just because the makeup of the team isn't ideal, but we've got Luka, we can make money, like, it's cool.
And listen, Maverick fan, in the comments section, over emotional, unrational, irrational, whatever the word is, I won't miss you when they're winning and you don't come back to give us our flowers. That's fine. That's fine. Jeremy Bolton, LOL, can't wait to watch LeBron and Doncic slowly fall to their doom. I give them 20 games before the wheels fall off. It's a huge question.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic has been incredibly difficult to play with his entire career. And now you put him in a situation where he's got 3 dynamic young players with him. And you have to ask, how does he impact? And really, it's Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect, right? How does he impact those two? And how does the guy that's going to suffer here is Rui Hachimura, who is having one of the best 3-point shooting seasons in the NBA, and who has become an elite defender and a really, really smart basketball player. How does Luka Doncic, if he does not change his ways, if JJ Redick doesn't change him, how does Luka fit into that situation? Because you've got LeBron this year and I think next year.
For sure.
And then you're wondering, I don't know.
Year to year.
Right? So you've got LeBron, who's still a triple-double machine somehow. You've got Austin Reeves, who's been unbelievable. Dalton Connect is clearly one of the better young players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all these pieces now, and you've got the money and draft picks to go and find a center. You should win. But if you're 270 pounds and you can't keep your calves, your knees, and your ankles healthy,
and you don't want to fit into the system,
he can't play as slow plodding. Do you guys understand how slow Luka Doncic is?
Yeah, this was the Chris Paul issue from like 5 years ago. You guys remember the Chris Paul thing? That Chris Paul was really slow in Phoenix and they wanted him to pick up the pace.
And he said no. And
it's the same thing.
If Luka says to JJ Redick, you brought me here for a reason, because there's no question the Lakers play with pace.
Yeah.
Luka can't play at that pace. Conditioning wise alone, he can't play at that pace.
But so that to me is what defines the trade. Does Luka come to LA and say, hey, you know what? You guys have a good thing going. I need to, I'm not going to ask the whole team to change for what I do. I'm going to change to supplement what the team is already doing really well.
And I'm also curious if he, nobody is going to say that who's a bad defensive player who's gotten better. Devin Booker. Nobody's going to say Devin Booker's an elite defender. Nobody's going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he now a serviceable defender? Yes. That's all Luka needs to be. You just have to become a serviceable defender. He's a turnstile. He will not step up on the pick and roll.
It's the Rudy Gobert syndrome.
Yes.
Elite defender, can't do anything offensively.
Will not step up on the pick and roll.
Yeah. And won't develop any sense of a layup or a jump shot.
And Luka bitches at the officials.
Yeah.
We'll see. Proof is in the pudding, man. It's all in time. Midweek Kook, NBA sucks. Bring back the Sonics. Okay.
Sucks to you, dude. Doesn't suck to the rest of us.
Those of us that are passionate NBA fans, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, couple other things. Can we talk about Jason Day and golf for a minute?
Stay hard.
First of all, incredible tournament over the weekend.
My guy won.
Was incredible.
Rory won. What do you see here? I see a bunch of dick and balls in a
macaque.
Picture. That's what I see.
Dude.
This is hero ball right here. This is, oh my God. Oh my God. Look at this outfit. It's amazing. And again, all I see is dick and balls. And we don't shame Bryson DeChambeau for just showing us what he's got loaded.
Well, because look at the combination, right? Hat, polo, pants, shoes. Not difficult. This is not hard to understand.
Then we have Jason Day. For
what
the second
hell
time,
is this, dude?
For the second time in 2 weeks, his clothing sponsor is a company called Melbon, who is out there with their designs. For the second time in 2 weeks, he wore a sweatsuit. Sweatpants. Played well in it. Looked good in it. For a sweatsuit, that's a nice sweatsuit. Yet, what do we get? We get the shaming of him. We get, oh, you can't wear a sweatsuit. No, funny thing. Wait a minute. What do you mean you can't? Because he's wearing one.
Dude.
Why is this a problem? But locked and loaded and going deep
because
is
he's dressed classy.
Bryson DeChambeau's got a huge dong. Oh my God! Look at the size of those balls, Bryson. Oh, Bryson looks so good.
Stay home.
You're an embarrassment to the game. Get off the course.
Look at Scott. Look at the other guys.
Get off the course.
Look at these guys.
Get off the course. Dress like Colin Morikawa. Yeah, but Colin's not showing me his freaking eggplant.
Right, but
is this traditional?
Again, polo shirt, pants.
Oh, hat. It's traditional. This is who we are.
It is.
This is what we do.
It is.
What is wrong with you?
Dude, this is not hard to understand. You can't be out here, dressing down the tour. You can't
Jake,
do that, dude.
Yes, you can.
No,
actually.
you can't.
This is what's wrong. This is what's wrong with golf. This right here is what's wrong.
If he wants to wear that out on a meeting, go ahead and do that.
This looks good. But are you telling me that locked and loaded, dude? Like
locked and loaded, dude.
What, did you take like 20 blue pills before this photo shoot?
Smiles and glory holes.
Are you kidding me? Oh, but this is humiliating. We can't have this in golf. We can't. Those are sweatpants. You're going to show butt crack sweat. We can't do that. Oh, yeah, we can.
Dude.
Yes, we can.
Dude.
I don't want to see what he's walking around with.
But you're the only one looking at his package.
No, because what did you do? Oh, look at this picture of Bryson I found.
Macaque.
You want to talk about a big driver head? Oh!
Hold on, bro. Like,
what am I supposed to do with this, bro?
I don't know.
Like,
if we're gonna shame sweatpants guy, if that's what we're gonna do, I don't want to see the meat and potatoes on
Why
Bryson.
don't you fuck off?
Yeah, I don't want to see the meat and potatoes on Bryson.
I mean, he's got a nice bag, dude.
What? Yeah, but a nice bag. But what? They didn't have pants that fit you? No, I'm just too strapped, bro. Okay, cool.
Come on, man. What is we talking about?
This is fine.
No,
this
it's not,
is not,
dude.
Man, look at the marbles in that guy's pocket. Yeah, I don't want to see it. And don't get in the comment section. Dude, you meat gazing? No, I'm not. But how are you not?
Shut the fuck up,
Are you
Donnie.
kidding? Bro, how are you?
Are you meat gazing?
Hey, keep your eyes above the waistline. Yeah, tell me you're not looking. Jealousy.
jackass.
Tell me you're not looking. What you got in there, bazooka?
His cock.
I don't want to know. No, you're the only one looking at his piece, Monty. Okay. Yeah, then maybe I am. What about it?
What are the people saying? I don't know.
That's AI. Yeah, I would think it is AI.
Hey, whatever, bro.
If you got it, flaunt it. Fat Jesus, I'm pretty sure he's had too many balls in his bag. That's what it seems like. Nice bag.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton, what's happening? I don't know.
Macaque.
I don't know. It's fine.
You can't dress down the tour, dude. You can't.
You could only see one. You only see the things you want to see, Minty.
Minty. Who's Minty, bro?
Okay. I am not going to be embarrassed.
Well,
I know.
Minty, he's got a nice shaft. What do you want me to do? You know? I mean, it is a 3D printed shaft. Don't you like it?
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Like, bro, I'm fine with this. That's great.
I'm
fine with this.
We're not asking you to wear a 3-piece suit,
I'm
bro.
fine with this. That's great. I am offended by this. Well, I'm more feeling less of a man by this. And then somehow this is just, oh God. You gotta be kidding me, Jason. We're gonna need you to go in the porta potty and change. We can't be seen to have sweatpants on the course.
You and I both know
this is the tour.
I cannot believe that this is the stance you have on this.
I don't care. The guy played well in it. He looked good in it. Let him rock it.
But that's a disagreement. Not everybody thinks he looks good in it. People think that he wore his pajamas onto the course.
Cool. How'd he hit it?
Doesn't matter. That's not the point.
I know how I hit it.
That ain't the point.
Yeah, maybe not. I just think this golf is fun. It's fine. It's fine. Let's see. What was that? A golf photo shoot or an OnlyFans photo shoot?
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Macaque.
You cannot tell me that he didn't know. Why is he smiling? Now I'm always smiling.
Yeah.
Why is he?
Yeah. I think the other one's worse.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Well, I should leave the banner up there because I don't want. There could be kids watching,
bro.
Yeah. How do you expect him to chip with that going on? I have no idea. I don't know. I know.
Well, Monty, how does he hit it down the fairway, man? His shaft is too stiff,
dude. I don't. I feel less of a man today.
Let's ride.
Like that. I would rather look at this.
Yeah,
I would rather look at this. I would. This is the dude. Rory McIlroy, that's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Colin Morikawa, totally fine with this. Scotty Scheffler, totally fine with this.
Excuse me. Jesus, man.
Yeah, Jesus, Scotty.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this. Come on, man. That's offensive.
What's up, big bro?
All right, before we get out of here, what food are you willing to give up for tariffs?
No, God.
Because, the whole... I'm not the biggest beer drinker.
Right.
But my beer of choice is Modelo. Or it used to be.
Yeah.
Because now there's tariffs on it. I love guac and avocados. Well, I used to.
Right.
What foods are you guys willing to give up? Here are the top 9 items that will be impacted by the tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
Okay.
Number 9, honey. Well, I live in Utah. There's honey on every corner in this town.
Yeah.
We have the best honey in the world. Number 8, apple juice. It rots your teeth. I don't drink it anyway. Sorry, parents. Oh, here's one. Number 7, garlic. The U.S. imports much of its garlic from China. The new 10% tariff will be on top of all your new garlic purchases. Ooh. Number 6, seafood. Most seafood is imported from China. Shrimp and tilapia as well as crab.
Yeah, I'm not a big seafood guy. This one isn't going to.
Oh, I'm a huge shrimp guy. Okay. Number 5, pork. The U.S. imports a substantial amount of pork from Canada and Mexico. Both now will have a 25% tariff. Higher prices for bacon, sausage, pork chops at the grocery store. The U.S., it is estimated it would take 36 months to ramp up production to make up for the imported pork.
Again, I'm not eating pork on a regular basis, but that's a long time.
Neither am I. Beef.
Now, this is the one that I think is going to upset people.
Beef prices have already skyrocketed as domestic supply chains have dried up from disease affecting U.S. cattle. With tariffs on beef, which are substantial imports from Canada and Mexico, it is expected that beef prices will climb further. U.S. relies on imported beef to meet demand, especially for popular items like steak and ground beef. I don't eat much beef. I don't eat much red meat.
Yeah.
Number 3, beer. Now, I don't drink much beer, but I love me some Modelo. Popular beers imported from Mexico include Modelo and Corona, which will now see 25% import tax.
Yeah. I mean, that's just something like I got to be honest. I mean, I'm not a huge beer drinker myself, but if I wanted to buy a 6-pack for a college football playoff weekend or something, or like the Super Bowl, Like that would be, I probably wouldn't pay the price, honestly.
Number 2, Roma tomatoes and cherry tomatoes, which we import almost exclusively. We grow almost none of our own cherry and Roma tomatoes. And with all of the deportations now, the supply chain in the U.S. is almost non-existent for Roma and cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
And then the number one item that we import that people outside of petroleum and gas products, avocados. We almost exclusively import all of our avocados in this country from Mexico, which now have a 25% tariff. And again, if you don't know the way the tariffs work, so essentially, hey, that avocado costs the grocery store $1. We've now put a 25% tariff on it. It now costs the grocery store $1.25. They take that 25, that tariff, and they give it to the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
So the supplier from Mexico raises their price, or doesn't raise their price. It's raised at the border. So it's $1, add 25%, $1.25. That cost in part is passed on to the consumer, because what's going to happen is the grocery store is going to say, okay, well, I had 18 cents of profit in there. So now I'm losing 6 cents. Does he eat the 18 cents and simply add 24 cents? Like, everybody's going to be doing math equations.
Yeah.
The impossibility, obviously, is the automotive, gas, and petroleum business. We import, and I've seen so many people say, well, Ford and Chevy are built in the U.S. now. So is Toyota. Yeah, here's the problem with that. Do you know where almost all, I think it's 94% of all auto parts for Ford and Chevy, and it's in the 60% for Toyotas built in the U.S. Do you know where they come from? A majority of it comes from Mexico. A lesser percentage comes from Canada. And all of them have a 25% tariff on it. Oil and gas, that's a big one. Because what's going to happen, because we've already seen gas prices go up substantially last week by 12 cents in some markets. What are you willing to give up?
I mean, I don't have like a list, but I if I'm at the grocery store, like, yeah, I'm probably not paying, I'm not. I mean, in Utah, it's a little bit different with beer, obviously, but like with avocados, like, I mean, I don't eat a ton of avocado on the regular from the store, but like that one-off time when I want to put avocados on like a chicken taco I made at home, I'm probably not going to do that now, but I think, yeah, I think the big one is beef. I think that's what
I think that's the big one in day to day.
In the day to day, I think that, beef consumption in the U.S. is massive, as we all know. So that's going to be the one that people, I think, really are, upset about. But again, I have to say, and I know today's the 3rd, like, the tariffs are just starting to go into effect.
Started on Saturday.
Yeah, they're just starting. So we haven't quite seen that
there's
real
about
hit yet.
On beef, there's an 11-day drag.
So like I'm at Costco over the weekend and, just doing a quick little run, and the lady in front of me, is just buying, she probably bought 30 pounds of steak.
I had that same thing.
Yeah,
I had
like
that same thing at Costco.
And there's like videos going around of Costco having eggs for like 20 minutes and people buying pallets.
But did you see the egg shortage that happened over the weekend? Because people went and bought a ton of eggs, because we also import a ton of eggs because we've had issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so we import a ton of eggs from North and South. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And if these tariffs, how long will they last? But as far as what am I willing to give up? I'm willing to give up animal products.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. Garlic probably doesn't matter much, because garlic's cheap. It's things like beef and pork, beer, and avocado. And when did we do it? A week before the Super Bowl. And so supply chain on top of tariff, do you know how much it's going to cost to have steaks, brisket, chops for your Super Bowl party? That's the one. Like, so
I mean,
it'll be interesting.
Think about that burger flight we talked about last week with Costco. You know, I mean, that price is gonna go up. And so I don't know, man. I think the other side of it too, though, is like, you know, so let's say that people spend less money in those segments that are going to be impacted by the tariffs. What other segments pick up business? You know, because obviously people aren't stupid.
Unintended consequences, yeah.
So there's going to be a shift that happens. So it'll just be, I'll just be interested to see how this plays out. Obviously, in the summer, Americans love to barbecue. They love to be outside. They love to do that type of stuff. You know, so will there be, you know, if gas continues to rise, will there be less driving like there was during the pandemic? I'll just be interested to see how people react to this. That's the big thing in our country. Okay, this happened. How do Americans respond to it? What do they do or not do in response?
That's going to be very interesting. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting. It's why I always advocate turkey and chicken is domestically available in mass numbers.
Yeah.
I think we've become very reliant on importing. China is interesting that it's only 10%. I think that's very interesting. That keeps Amazon stores and TikTok shops in business.
Yeah.
And I think that plays I think the way that Meta, TikTok, Amazon, the way that those people fell in line, this is why they did it.
Yeah.
Because the money that is invested by Americans in their Amazon stores, the money that is invested by Americans in the TikTok shop, massive. Ginormous. So it'll be interesting because the other thing that'll be rather interesting is like building products. Lumber's another one that we import a lot of lumber. We import a lot of building supplies. And I'm curious. There was an interesting question put up by a guy named Tom Ferry over the weekend. How do you fix the housing? How do you fix the housing problem? I thought of you because the median first-time homebuyer age is now 38 years old.
Yeah.
38 years old.
Again, I'm just going to keep saying it. And I know it's not popular. I know people don't like it. But if you want to buy a home and you want to set your life up, unfortunately, it's not going to be in California or the mountain region or the East Coast.
Won't.
It's going to be in the Midwest. And that's not fun. That's not sexy. It's not some popular pick. It's not, beaches and oceans and sunsets. But the reality is it's available. And people, we are, as people in our country, spoiled on certain things in our culture, like beef, like the beach, like sunsets. Like we like these things. And I feel like for my generation, when you talk about being 38 years old, buying a house for the first time, that's spot on, man.
It's a fascinating number, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I at one point looked at getting financing for a house or a place, a loan, a mortgage during the pandemic, but it just didn't quite have enough. And I sit here and I say, yeah, you're by 38, the reason people can do it is because they're married, so they're able to use dual income, and it's a more stable situation. But I just think that we have to get away from vilifying people for buying a house and getting some land and setting themselves up, because most people, unfortunately, most people don't just fall into houses in California. Most people don't get that luxury. Most people don't get, hey, this happened or that happened, and I can liquidate this $1 million asset that I have no debt on, right? That I don't have. My stake is it's been bequeathed to me. That's the crazy part. So for those of us who don't have that luxury, we have to go a different route, and that shouldn't be vilified.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because if it is true that and I don't know how many people realize this, but the two industries that'll be decimated most, I think, by immigration are housing and automotive, because a lot of the labor force in those two industries are illegal or on visas.
Yeah.
And you look at the housing industry, all of the framers, concrete finishers, roofers, all of those people.
Yeah.
They're illegals.
Yeah, or a lot of them, and again, obviously this makes them illegal, but you got a visa through the proper channels, but you've just overstayed it too.
Yeah.
Like we know
Oh,
that's
there's a
happening
ton of
lot,
that.
that too. So it's like I think that's the challenge, and everyone gets so hung up on this whole thing of like the deportations and there's always illegals and the country's terrible. Like I'm not so focused on that portion. Yes, there's a dynamic there, but I'm more focused on, to your point, like, okay, let's say all this happens just the way that the administration has said. Okay, well, how does that affect guys like us, guys like you? Like, how does that affect the day-to-day American? Because that's really all I care
And
about.
how long are Americans willing to stay on board with Donald Trump's plan? I mean, it was a landslide election, right? But the Dow's off 200 today. And when you start looking at economies, if inflation goes up, interest rates go back up, if we start seeing all of the pain at the grocery store, my biggest concern is that the Trump administration is going to lose those millions of people who voted for him. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that levels and what consumer sentiment is. If you're paying by some estimates, you're paying $100 for a pack of steaks, or you're not. That's like if the egg thing, like my Harmon's was out of eggs yesterday.
And mine has been multiple times over the last month.
Out of it. One of the other things, I was watching CNBC last night, and they're talking about how orange juice is about to get significantly more expensive because of the hurricanes in Florida. Guess what we're importing? Oranges. Because the citrus crops were decimated by the hurricanes. And so we've been in, it's how we wound up with tomatoes. Farmers in Central California stopped growing Roma and cherry tomatoes.
So like I said, I mean, there are a variety of factors here. You know, I think that, you know, it's an easy button to say, hey, we're going to deport all these folks who have come in. And I agree. I'm not even saying that like the agricultural workers are bad people. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that these are hardworking people that unfortunately, for whatever reason, didn't go through the proper channel to be, legal, immigrants to the country. And so they find themselves in this really difficult situation. And it's easy to say, oh, well, we'll just support all those people. And who cares what that's going to, but like, there's going to be an impact there. And I think that you need to be prepared that things are going to change, that more expense is going to happen.
I think agriculture, home building, and automotive.
Like what is all the folks being removed from our country due to rents in our country? Does that raise rent, lower rent?
But did you guys see the California wildfire land? And now the equity firms going in there and buying up plots of land in the Palisades in Malibu. Like, it'll be interesting. Just watch because Donald Trump said, whatever it was, Saturday, we're going to have to deal with some pain here, but didn't say what the result would be. Like, what's the result? Like, we're going through pain, but what is on the other side?
What's the light?
For what purpose? That's what's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Why are we dealing with pain? Like, that's just, do we have anybody making intelligent comments? Jeremy Bolton, my brother just built a house in Houston. Great land available in Texas, by the way. Twice the square foot of a house they had in Seattle for half of the price.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's just the numbers are the numbers.
Did you guys see what Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, said? So Greg Abbott, in reply to Justin Trudeau, the whatever you want to call him, the
soon to not be prime minister
of Canada, who said, we talked about tariffs and punishing red states, and Greg Abbott said, well, we have the world's finest cotton and we'll no longer make it available to you. Well, here's the problem, Gov. India is where we import our cotton from. India, Bangladesh, China.
Yeah.
We don't get most of the Canadians and the Mexicans, they don't import cotton from Texas. And the hard part is that when you inflict this pain on Mexico, You're inflicting pain on California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So if you think Texas is excited about these tariffs, we'll wait and see. We'll see. How many restaurants will close? Significant amounts. It's already a tough margin. And chicken wings are incredibly difficult. I was reading a story about Buffalo Wild Wings and the measures that they are taking to try and control their cost on chicken wings. It's wild. Who's going to have to deal with the pain, though? Trump didn't say that, did he? No, he did not. Canadians are pulling out of Florida real estate markets, causing prices to crash. Maybe. But this is the more Canada's economy. Canada's in a terrible spot. Canada's in a terrible spot. So Greg Abbott is in a wheelchair. DEI accommodations are literally the reason why he can be governor. Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole DEI thing. There's no winning that conversation.
Yeah.
There's not winning that conversation. Very interesting. Good to see you all. Don't forget that the Advocates have a big blood drive coming up. We're going to talk about it a lot in the coming weeks. Don't wait to donate blood. The Advocates remind you just how important it is to donate blood. It's a huge need in our communities. Jake passes out every time he donates blood.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm a stud like Bryson. I'm packing. The Monty Show presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.